Oh, so you're recording already?
Oh yeah, everybody. She's recording. I'm recording. The world is recording. History is recording. Looks like I'm the only one that got a face today.
I know, because I haven't been to sleep at all. And
Oh,
I still don't have all my numbers together.
it does happen. Well, it's game one day. So she's probably still in the conversation right now. But well, let's see. Uh,
I'm not good at tracking. I guess I needed to know all of my numbers for the 10 people.
don't worry about it right now. Uh,
I would have liked to have had some points.
don't worry about it right now.
Well, Lynn did close one of Louis Barnes people, so I
Okay.
got that, but that's not my direct points. That's
hmm
somebody else.
Good to know there's some activity going on.
Yeah,
hmm
that was submitted last month.
Okay.
Or it might have been longer than that because she always had bounce checks every time we were trying to, well,
One of
Liam,
Lewis's people.
yeah,
Oh,
he
that's
had
interesting.
he had a direct, he hadn't returned my call.
Uh-huh.
And the bad thing is he turned in 100 lists, but it doesn't have, any phone numbers on it.
Huh.
So I
Mm.
don't know if I should, get with him to see if he wants, get permission, I guess,
Uh,
to
well,
go through those people.
I'm
Because he
sure.
has one on
I'm,
there.
s- I'm sure we'll find that one out. I got fireflies and for Loyan. Oh, that's the note taker. Got it. Okay. Hi, Miss Choi.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
I hear you clearly.
Awesome. How are you, Tony? How are you, Linda?
I
I'm
feel
doing
great.
good.
Awesome, awesome.
Y'all look all bright and shiny over there. I see this firefly. Is that your AI note taker there? That's what it says.
Uh, I don't know why that's coming in together with me. You can ignore that because I don't even know how to use that anyway.
Well, it asked to record, so I figured you set that up. I was like, cool, man, that's
No,
new.
no, no, no. To ignore it, deny it.
Oh, it's already got permission. It's already doing its thing.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know like how to use it anyway, but perhaps, let it record and
Yeah.
let's see how
I
it
mean,
goes. I'll find out.
I'll be the crash test dummy. No problem. You know.
Yeah, my Zoom thing, it's got like two different AIs, and I don't know, like, I don't know, like, where it's sending anything to and stuff like that. So
AI is
we'll
already
see.
taking over.
I know. And me and Jill, Dee was talking, and Jill's like, we shouldn't really let AI take over. And I said, yeah, but I don't know how not to let it take over.
Right, right. We're gonna be working for AI in a minute. I don't even know if we aren't
I mean,
right now because what's happening in the government that has to be a AI, right? It can't be
right,
real,
right, 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 right,
So anyway,
right.
so thank you so much
There's some
for meeting.
useful stuff that can be done with the Zoom AI. I don't know if that's the Firefly or the other one.
It says
But
fireflies.
it's the one. Yeah, it's the one with the Zoom, but that's the one that Chris at VC always uses.
Mm.
So after our meeting, it'll give you a like a short summary, and then it'll give you the next meeting prep items,
Oh
like
wow.
and it's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Oh
Mhm.
man, and then no thinking involved. All
So
you have to
that
do is talk. Okay.
yeah, so that none of us forget what we're supposed to be doing and like what we're supposed to report back
Hmm.
and when we're meeting the next time and stuff like that. So that's pretty useful for that.
Right.
He's done about 60 individual interviews all with it, and
Hmm.
it all came with it.
Well,
That worked. But I
he's a
haven't asked him
bona fide
how to use
expert
it.
then.
Yeah, so we gotta ask him. I don't know how to do it. Okay, so go ahead, guys. Report to me. I'm pretty excited.
So exactly, is it me? Or you?
Uh, I'm happy to start, but I just want to find where I put it first. Give me a second. Let me see documents. Uh, so so Linda and I we've had a measure of success rebuilding our warm market from a very ice cold market. And in rebuilding that warm market, what we've been great at doing is establishing the relationships. Everybody knows exactly what we do. They know exactly who we are. And now that we have those relationships built, it's time for us to start, closing some business with that. And that's where we're a little bit light on. That's where we can use some assistance. So, and now that I'm recording, it's not allowing me to open up the screen. So, Linda, I want you to start right now while I try to figure out how to get this file open, so I can at least share some of the stuff that I got going on here. So, real quick, Linda and I, we've been
You can stop recording if that's prohibiting you for doing anything. You can stop recording.
well,
Leave it
I
leave
just need
this
to figure out
recording.
where the page is. So while Linda's talking, she can be stalling for me while I get the page. So let me get that
All
for
right,
you.
go ahead,
Yeah.
Linda.
Uh, okay, Miss Choi. Um, Basically, we have been getting out. That was one of the things Lynn had told me early on, and I had no idea what that meant. So, like, out where? You just want me to stand on a corner somewhere, or grocery store, parking lot? I mean, I had no idea what out meant, really.
Mhm,
And so now I've got a lot of activity
mhm,
Good.
in comparison to how it was before. I tend to do better at network mixers, business mixers,
mhm,
because you're there for the purpose of just exchanging information. And so I have some that are regular that I go to. So I, typically come home with some names. And so what we just recently did when Tony was here, we just went out for a shadow day, just to, find people and to also, again, I guess, have a talk track because I hadn't had that at all. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen when, we were going to have somebody come here, that I'd go out, I'd get to hear the conversation and know, what to say when, kind of thing, learn how to track because I'm just not really good at tracking all the information. And so I went out with Tony. We had one set place we were going to go, and that ended up being a really interesting experience. But he did manage to get a really good example of how he turned that person into somebody that was going to meet with us later, meet with him later. And so I watched him do that, and I kind of really saw what I needed to do differently. And
Where'd you
we went to a restaurant
Oh
that's
no,
popular here.
Linda. If you tell her the story, tell her the whole story. She needs to know the whole thing, all of it.
go? Where'd you guys go?
It's a very popular restaurant with the millennials
Awesome.
mainly. I mean, I guess it's everybody, but at the time we went, it was the millennial hour. And so it's very popular. I mean, people were everywhere. There's lines outside the door, there are vehicles driving up. I mean, it's just a lot of activity. It was all kind of, I told Tony, I was happy that mainly, our culture was there. I said,
Mhm.
I'm glad they have somewhere to go, and I understand the food was good, but we never did go inside. Was no need to it. It was just crowded,
Mhm.
and as they would drive up, I said, it's just sad because they didn't have a lot of clothes on, and
It was a skin factory.
you saw a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, if people watching that would be a good place. I mean,
Different,
it's
different,
unbelievable.
right?
It's very different.
Very different. Something that we would never do, right?
Yes, right. Yes, I'd been there once, but for an event. So we had a private room, but just the restaurant part, they had outside people. I mean, people were everywhere. I don't know where they were putting them all.
Hmm.
So, but he managed to pick out of that crowd a guy that really didn't seem like he should be there. He was a millennial, but I mean, he was so polished. And
He
so,
had clothes on.
yeah, yes, he just
That was
looked,
always helpful.
and Tony just looked up at him. He said, "You got to be a ball player or something like that. You got to play for somebody's team." And he was on the phone, and then he kind of got off the phone and started talking to him. And Tony had a whole conversation, like with the guy, like he had known him for like years. And so, with a lot of distractions. Oh, and we had somebody we were meeting up there. So first he was kind of working with him, training him because he's already active, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's active, yeah. And so we met him, and then yeah, that second guy shared with Tony all of the questions that he was asking him. So Tony was definitely guiding him in the conversation, and the guy really was well spoken. So
Mhm.
he really had some good information. And so Tony just invited him to be a guest on one of his calls. And so both I and the guy that we had met up there, we got to experience that, and it was really good. And so we went to
What do you think, Linda? Millennials are not that difficult. I mean, they're a different bunch, but I mean, but talk about millennials. Now the millennials go, hang out with Gen Zs. That's a totally different experience. That, um, good luck. I,
yeah, I didn't see anybody I wanted to approach. So, but
but
the guy,
let me tell you this. Like the BNI, the networking
oh
group.
yeah,
But then the BNI, I don't really. I suggest, but then I don't really suggest because they raised their annual price, right?
yeah, that's what I found. It was kind of expensive.
Right. Uh-huh.
I've gone
But I
to,
do, but I do have our Christy Cho, that's her name, from Atlanta, Georgia.
mm,
She's our FD. She's been part of BNI for a whole year, I think. That's where she's getting a whole lot of good connections, right? I wouldn't
mhm,
say that it wouldn't work, but then, I have plenty of other people who's been in it but haven't seen much of a result, right?
mhm, yeah,
And Ryan Arisumi from Maui, Honolulu, Hawaii, and Maui,
yeah,
he talked about being part of BNI, but then he drifted out from BNI, and he's now part of like three different networking groups where he's getting a lot of attraction, and he's being part of that. So
mhm,
it doesn't have to be BNI. It doesn't have to be, tons of money that you're spending. Okay. You can go into different networking groups and make friends. Okay. Make friends,
mhm,
make connections, make friends. Another thing that I think of for millennials and perhaps Gen Zs, Um,
Mhm.
we do have a pre-notion. I mean, I do. I'm going to speak for myself. I have a pre-notion of Gen Zs, right? And it's
Mhm.
so hard for me to just carry a conversation with the Gen Z.
Really?
It's so hard. It's very hard. But
Mhm.
I met a very, very, very I'm still having a problem, by the way. I'm still having a problem. But I met a very, very smart, very business-minded Gen Z young man. And I'm learning a whole lot from him. I'm calling him a coach.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I mean he does like social media. He's pretty well known in his space,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But everything that he talks about it from a business coaching point of view.
Mhm.
Okay. Things that he's been part of, things that he's been, through for his short, let's say 3, 4 years, right?
Mhm.
Okay. But what is changing so fast, he's been able to talk about. So through him, I was connected with, when I say I'm not the only one. I went out when I go into like different spaces, doing different events. I take a whole bunch of you, right? So when we went to one of these events, it was a very fun event. Myself, Jazz FBC were there. Oh, poor Jazz. She didn't know what she was walking into. And then I had a couple more. One person is pretty new, brand new, Korean American. So she speaks English, but English is not her native language, right?
Mhm,
And I had another SFD who speaks mainly Korean, but a good enough English, right?
mhm,
Mhm.
So four of us went there to do a networking with people who are interested in learning real estate. Okay, this was Christina Lee, our brand new SFE, Christina Lee's event.
Mhm.
But we weren't ready because we were not going to be part of it. It was her event with a group of realtors and a group of mentors that she's collaborating together with. I met a whole bunch of younger crowd, right?
mhm,
More energetic, paced.
Mhm.
Um, but her uncle passed away, unexpectedly, so she had to be at the funeral and all of that. So we took over the event, and she just came to. I mean, she had to just come to like kind of open the space and introduce everybody, but she had to go, right?
Mhm.
So poor Jazz at BC and my other folks that I took, they didn't know what was going on. And I said, okay, well, we're going to network over here. And they're like, oh, okay, but how? What do we say? What do we do? And I said, guys, 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 calm down. Okay. These are people.
Mhm.
Okay.
These are
These are
people.
people. Right. These are people. Okay.
Mhm.
And she says, well, they look pretty young. They need more clothes on. They need,
Ah!
and I'm like, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not me.
And I'm
Mhm,
like, yes, probably you're all right. But you know
mhm,
what? We have 2 hours. And they announced they gave us a number, right?
mhm,
So they gave us a number when we register, and the same matching number notepad that was put on like different seats. So we were supposed to be finding our numbers, and from there, I think they give us like like a short, maybe less than 5 minutes to network with whoever that we're networking with. So
Oh,
it was like a speed dating
okay.
type of,
oh
right.
wow,
I don't know if you
wow.
ever been a
Icebreaker
speed.
kind of thing.
Okay.
This is
I
interesting.
haven't, but I've heard about it. So I know how the speed dating thing goes, right?
Mhm.
And I thought that was the most craziest thing, but it was a speed networking. So poor
Speed
Jazz has
networking.
never done something,
Wow.
but it
Okay.
was fun at the same time. Linda,
Mhm.
you gotta get in together with them. You get better as you talk.
Mhm.
Because after I'm such a bad leader, but I
Mhm.
had to take important calls, right? So I'm like, in the middle of the networking, and I say, guys, you're on your own. I gotta take this. This is gonna take me, like 30 minutes, right? And they're
Mhm.
like, what are we gonna do? And I said, I don't know, do something. And I left.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I know. When the whole thing was over, you know what happened?
What
Jazz
happened?
came back with like
Mhm.
5 different, not only names, okay, but appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
She came
wow.
back with 5 different appointments, a solid appointment. Ellie, my SFD, whose native language is Korean, right? She came back
Mhm.
with like 6 solid appointments.
There it is.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
See, now
My
how they're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so here's what happened. Here's what happened. You know what they said to me? Okay? And I said, "Oh my God. You said you've never done this before, right?" And
Hmm.
then both of them said, "We've never done this before." See, first it was too short, like less than 5 minutes. What do I say about me? What do I ask about you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
but then they said from the second and the third one, as they were moving to like different numbers, right?
Hmm.
They said, we cut the gibberish. Okay, we don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about, we cut the gibberish and we just straight go into
Go after it. Yes.
right, into life
Yes.
insurance and annuity, and this is what I like about it, and this is what you must hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just straight to the point, and then it's a networking event. So did they, they also the people that we were talking to, they also talked about, well, I'm in accounting, I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
network with different people, I'm growing my business, I want to start branching out to,
Mm-hmm.
different ethnicities, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we here? What do we want? What do we want to get out of this? Right? So it went straight like that. And everybody's looking to collaborate. Everybody's looking to be mentored. So it's a
Yes.
very, very good space to be.
Yes.
Makes
Yes.
sense. Right. Not just talk about what I do, but to learn about what you do.
Hmm.
Makes sense? But you only have 4 minutes. Less than 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
it.
better be,
Oh,
yeah, you better, yeah,
yeah. Oh, I would like that.
That's
Yeah.
the, that's
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 right.
like a napkin presentation in speed
That's
dating
right.
format. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you can't talk about everything. You got to pick one thing that you're going to be, talking about that matters to you the most,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
right? So um, both of them spoke about living benefits. Okay.
Okay.
I do life insurance and annuity. And the big thing that we do, okay, we provide proper protection using life insurance, right?
Hmm.
Something called living benefits. And you talk about how we are able to do that, not explaining what a living benefit is, but the end result of living benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Right. Hmm.
I mean, what are you going to say in 4 minutes?
Right.
You better talk
You got
really
to listen to
fast.
the
Better
person
talk
too,
really,
right?
really fast.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. You got to listen to the other person too. So basically, you have like two minutes or so.
2 minutes at best. 1 minute 45 seconds. Okay.
Yeah. So you
I,
can't really talk about a whole lot of things, but you
mm,
got to appeal to them.
mm-hmm.
Okay. And here's how we appeal to them. We leveraged each other. Okay. So Jazz FBC was in pink jacket.
Hmm.
I was something black, so I stand out. But Jazz FBC was the only lady with the pink, hot pink,
Okay.
jacket, right?
Uh-huh.
So, when I started talking, the persons that I was talking to, they were like, "Oh, so are you together with the lady in pink?" And
Mm,
I'm like, "Yeah." Makes
Okay.
sense.
Yep.
Uh,
Good.
so I was able to leverage the lady in pink, that we are here to support and collaborate together with Christina Lee, who is providing the venue today. That's
mm-hmm.
how we talked about. That's how we leveraged.
Okay. Yep. Sounds
Right.
Oh,
She's from San Francisco. I'm from LA. We're here in Seattle.
I love it.
Make sense?
Yeah.
okay.
So you connect the dots is pretty much what we did. Uh-huh.
Linda
So we
has
all
this.
thought that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Linda has this like this color that she wears. It's like kind of like a royal sky blue, and
Oh,
everybody
I can.
loses their
You will
mind
look
whenever
pretty
she
good in that.
wears it. So she's going to be the lady in blue in this scenario.
Good, good. But have your color, Linda. Have your color. And Tony, you too. You look good in dark navy, and gold.
I do
Okay.
like gold.
That's your color. Right. dark navy and gold. Linda, you could be you're beautiful. So you could be in blue,
Thank
you
you.
could be in sky blue, you can be in kind of like a bluish purple.
Yeah,
But you
that is
right.
what I had on.
Good,
Actually,
good. You would look good
because
in
I was
there.
going to
All
show
right,
it to you real quick.
let's go. Uh-huh.
Right,
Yeah,
right
she was
there.
clean. She had it going
But I
I
on.
like that.
but I wanted to show you what
Yeah.
I got. This is what I got right here. So
What does it say
The
under
state of
the
the
Ron?
state of Texas House of Representatives, the office of the state representative Ron Reynolds.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
yeah, so I got
Nice. Uh-huh.
awarded with that, and
Nice.
the guy that helped me do that, he's actually going
Hmm.
to give me a list of events that he has coming up. He's a
Sorry. Did you put this on your Instagram?
I did. Oh yeah, I got a lot of hits.
Good. Good. Uh-huh.
One
Uh-huh.
point 1,000.
Good.
I got over 1,000.
Um,
It's not on Instagram. It was on my Facebook actually.
what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Linda
Hold on.
underscore Kenyon, I think. But I mainly got the hits on Facebook.
Right.
I don't know.
Linda,
I think
Linda underscore?
I think that's what it is. I might have it set up to do both. I had it set up that way at one time to do Facebook and it automatically would post.
It's supposed to be automatic if you got the business version.
Mm.
So all you have to do is change your personal to business.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Because
so it's Linda underscore what? I'm sorry.
Kenyon, Kinion. But so he's a philanthropist. He owns that restaurant that's in the Galleria,
Hmm.
and they have a networking event every month. And so he has a garden party coming up on the 16th, and it's going to be a media day and
Hmm.
by invitation only. I can't even bring a plus one because they're trying to control the crowd.
Right.
And so I'm invited to that, but he said he'll send me the whole list of all of his events because he has a choice of like 6 mansions he can pick for whatever the event.
Six mansions, man.
Yeah. So, and he was on my page and he was clicking the like on Facebook
Hmm.
because
Okay, I think you need to go back to your Facebook and then check your whatever that you're posting in the Facebook into the Instagram because it's not on the Instagram.
okay. All right. Because, yeah, I wasn't sure.
Right. You can do that, yeah, later. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so,
That'll be wonderful. You can do like, 7, 8 different posts about just about this event so that, you
mhm,
know, uh, a lot of people, this will give you leverage.
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
Yep. And so that's what was happening. And so, the other thing we did, Tony, we went to the realtor. And so they had everybody didn't show up. We did a lunch and learn. You would think they would have given us the number of the people that were going to actually be there so we would know how much food to bring, which I thought we were doing, but they still had the option to do online. But anyway, we went with the people who were there in person. So Tony and I kind of tag team. He did a portion and then I would come in and do a portion. And so that went really well. And the owner of the business had a lot of good questions and, was kept it interesting by asking those questions. And so even though, and they were in 2 locations, 2 different cities, a location for a total of 50 people. So she did give us that list and said we can contact them. So that was 50 we got from her.
Right. You do have to definitely, if you're gonna be networking, you do definitely have to update your Instagram and your Facebook because that's your business card.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, People use Instagram more. just to use it as a, if you're using it as a, like, they'll ask for your handle,
Mm,
um, just to see, what kind of stuff that you're doing. Facebook, is for more information.
Hmm.
okay. And for,
That's
I
oh,
never
right.
had that broken down to me like that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And then later on, you want to be a little bit more professional. Then you wanna link your LinkedIn as well. Okay.
that's the one.
But
Okay.
yeah, but then I have more people asking for Instagram more than anything.
As do I. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
oh,
reason why people ask for Instagram is because they can just go through, just skim through who you are, what you do. That's why.
Hmm.
mm,
Hmm.
See, Facebook, you gotta read through the whole scroll
It's
all the way.
true. It's true.
Right. Uh-huh.
All right.
Right.
So that
So
means I got to work on my Instagram now.
right, work on Linda's too, because you guys, that's a big deal. You know what you just did? Okay, that's a big deal. You should have at least about 7 to 8 posts just about that.
Hmm.
okay.
Okay.
And I
And
was
then
trying to
the
do.
right, and then the another, like 3, 4 posts just on the real estate, realtors collaboration that you did, right?
Hmm.
Do you have like screenshots and stuff like that, maybe?
We
Uh,
didn't get any
not up
screenshots.
there.
Okay. Photos, videos.
Uh, I mean, I took of the award,
There,
but
there,
not
there,
of
there
real.
was a video at the realty company, but we didn't take it. The realty company did, so we might be able to get access to that video.
Yeah, just some clips. Ask them just for some clips, so that you can post on your Instagram. Just tell them, we wanna acknowledge, what's the name of that realty?
Collective realty.
Elective realty. Okay.
Collective. Mhm.
Collective. Okay. So what you want to say is you want to send them a thank you message. Okay. And then say thank you so much to the owner, right? And we want to acknowledge you on our Instagrams and Facebook, acknowledging our gratitude, for the opportunity and the opportunity to collaborate together with you. It was our honor. Okay. At the same time, we look forward, okay, for the next collective venture that we can do together.
Okay. So I was going to
And you
ask
want
you how to approach all of those people
yes. Uh-huh.
because we've got a meeting scheduled because I have one tonight and one tomorrow, and we're doing both the understanding money matters and then the living benefits.
Good.
And so we've invited them to get, try and get on those calls.
Right. Did you have a like some sort of a like a QR code that links to your understanding your money matters, while you were doing the webinar or the seminar?
The QR code links to
Okay, so
something
so
else.
this is how we would usually do. Okay, so by the way, good job. Okay, whether you had it or not, still great job. Okay, but you have to remember from now on, we're gonna remember we move from event to another event. Okay,
Right.
when I say we move from another from event to event, okay,
Mhm.
uh, we're gonna do it two different ways. One, we're gonna invite everybody into the next event. Okay, everybody into the next event by inserting a right that type of a QR code. Okay, but then that QR code is supposed to get them to RSVP for the next event. Make sense? Okay.
Mm.
So when I scan that QR code, it's supposed to show me the next event, what that is, what I'm gonna be getting, and how I'm gonna register. Make
Okay.
sense?
Do you use
Okay. So they
Eventbrite
need
for
to
that,
register.
or what do you use?
If it's just a simple, if you're gonna be, you can do Eventbrite, the free version, right? You can do Eventbrite, the free version, or the QR code can link into a Google sheet or Google Doc or something called a jot form, JOTFORM. Okay. So Google Sheet Google Doc or Jot form, those are for a very, very, very simple registration. Like you want their name, email address, phone number, have you been, invited by us before or not?
Mm-hmm.
Or where do you live in? What state specifically, you live in, or things like that. Just something very, very, very simple. We use that type of a registration if we're gonna be calling them up right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
it works the best if you can call them up. But
Mm-hmm.
there are like if you're gonna be using Eventbrite, a whole bunch of people will come through Eventbrite. Okay, not so quality. Do you understand me when I say not so quality?
Right. I
So
absolutely do.
quality would be people that would really want to set up that next move together with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Through the Eventbrite, you have to look at 50% of the people that you invite. Let's say you post something out there, 50 people register or 100 people register. Whatever that number is, you have to think only the 50% of the people who sign up are going to be actually interested. Doesn't mean that they're going to come.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Out of that 50% that are interested, okay, about, I would say, 2/3 of them will come. So, okay, let me rephrase that. If you have 100 people signed up, okay, a good 30%, okay, will come to your event.
Mm-hmm. I'd
But
still
the
be happy with that.
right, but still, you still have a way for you to market because I said if 100 people sign up,
Mm-hmm.
50% interested, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But as in your mind, you have to think that only the 30% will come.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
50% will be reached out by you through email afterwards. Those are the CRMs. Okay. Guys, I wouldn't want you to spend money on CRM or anything that I'm talking about. There are so many free versions of everything that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
use the free
Oh,
stuff.
really? The
Yeah.
REM has a free
Yes,
version?
yes, yes. Uh-huh. I mean, of course, it'll give you up to like 500 emails or something like that,
Uh-huh.
or up to like 1,000 emails. Feel good for you. Makes sense? Feel good
Yes.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
You will learn that your email list will grow so quickly, but then you don't have to spend money from day one, is what I'm saying. Okay?
That
Mm-hmm.
sounds good.
Right. And you don't have to use the CRM that we all use. The one with Gary and stuff. You don't have to do that. Okay. I mean, that has its benefits, but you don't have to do that. There's other ones that you can do free. Um, mm,
I had one at one time, but yeah, I didn't continue to pay.
right. Don't. Okay. Because if you don't have this marketing, like structure, right,
Hmm.
you're gonna waste your money.
Uh-huh.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Okay. Um,
So with that said, every seminar that you do, you're supposed to have that QR code pretty big so that people can just scan it and that will link to whatever the event or whatever you want them to do. That QR code can link you to book an appointment together with you or link it to the next event that you're
okay.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay. Now that's one. Okay. How are you gonna get an appointment right away?
That's it.
So that's a challenge because we did send out a report to them by email, so everybody had at least got contact, but I haven't called all of them yet.
Right. Let me
Called
give
some
you a
of them.
little tip. Write this down. Okay, let me give you a little tip. Okay. This is how we got Jazz FBC were able to get five. By the way, we went to Christina's event, so we were all working for her. So all the appointments that we got it for her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're probably gonna split the deals later, but then she's the one who's gonna be in that area,
Mm-hmm.
Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm from LA. Jazz is from San Francisco. My other girl came from Las Vegas. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
a very, very, very bright new person who came in and just observed the whole thing. She's too new to do it. Make sense? Okay. So right after the event, we put all the, the contact stuff, contact information all together. We created a hotel room, invited Christina and told her, hey, these are the people that we are going to set up appointment for. Would you want to reach out to them and say, hey, my name is Christina. I'm the one who hosted the event, on blah, 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 right? My friends and my colleagues from San Francisco, I don't know if you remember, the lady in pink. Makes sense? Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you would remember, there was so many people, so it's probably hard for you to remember everybody, right? So I'm gonna send you a picture that you guys took together because we did all selfies. We did everyone that we talked to, we had a selfie.
I totally agree with that. Love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then before we leave that 5-minute section, we take a selfie and we exchanged our number. How?
QR code.
No, I'm sending you the selfie that I took.
Got it.
Text message.
That's how I do it as well. I agree. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm sending you the picture that I took. What's your number? Let me send that over. Hey, this picture
Yep.
it came out really good.
Yep.
Mhm.
So that I'm gonna send it to you so that you would remember me. My name is Lauren. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's how I got it.
Hmm.
That's how we all got it.
Mhm.
I
Make
love
sense?
it.
That's how you're gonna do your networking, Linda. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how you're gonna get back in the conversation back again.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mhm.
So you don't have to be a super duper organized person to do this.
That's comforting. Yeah.
Look,
But
look, guys,
Tony's really good at it, though. He's actually good at
I can't even remember what I ate last night, okay?
it.
I'm supposed
Hope,
to remember.
hope it was
But, but,
delicious.
but do go ahead and take a lot of screenshots so that
Mm.
when you take a screenshot, you would know what that is. And then
Hmm.
just write a little note on the photo.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
You know how like when you take a selfie photo of anything or screenshot of anything, right? Or just take a photo of anything. You can go edit and then you can just write, with your little scribble, you can write stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can even, if you don't like your own scribble like mine, I can't read my own writing. So so I do a little text typing over there. Okay.
Okay.
Look, I can't not remember anything if I don't write it down. So, I do that probably like, at the end of the day
Hmm.
of the photos
Yeah.
that I took, right?
Like to be able to do that on a daily basis.
Right. Don't do it the next day because you
Yeah.
you won't be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to carry your book everywhere you go.
Oh. Then I gotta look at my note and say, when was that? Who was that? I gotta
Right.
do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I was able to get, I got quite a few people I hadn't written down
I
that
know.
I'm thinking about now.
Right. And then
Um,
it's like, you gotta think again, and then you gotta try to remember again,
mhm.
Like,
Right.
so don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Just,
Gotta
you know,
keep up.
yeah, just do that. Whatever makes it easy for you. For me, taking a screenshot or taking a like, right now, like what we're doing, okay, I already took a screenshot of this.
Oh, really?
Okay? And then I have my note that says, April 9th, Wednesday. Okay? April 9th, 2025, Wednesday, 11 a.m., right? And we're probably going to follow up on what we're talking about within the next week or two.
Okay.
Make sense?
Hmm.
Okay. That's how I do it. I don't, Tony, I think you asked me one time, how do you remember all this? And I said, I don't. Okay. I have this.
Got pictures.
Right. Uh-huh. Right. That's how I manage, like so many different groups and so many different people. And I still manage to, like, so that, let's say, Linda, if you're running, this is me, not me, right?
Mhm.
Do you hear this?
Oh, well, huh?
Oh, okay. So it's okay. So, if let's say you guys are running for an FD, how am I supposed to remember all the running and every, like aspects of the running? I can't. So that's how I, leave tracks of what we're following up on.
Okay.
Sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in an event, two things must happen. Selfie or screenshot, right? Okay. It's a little bit of a note. Okay. Especially selfie with together with photo together with folks that you are talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And then send them over the nice picture so that they will remember you. Okay. Or have them actually take a selfie, okay, with their phone and then send it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
Whichever the method is, so that you can still get in touch together with them.
Mm-hmm.
I do this now. I'm gonna talk about something else. I'm gonna talk about, let's say you're in somebody else's event
Mm-hmm.
where there's like 30, 40 different, like vendor booth, right? When you're in some sort of a fair, some sort of a like a convention hall, realtors event, tax professionals event, whatever it is, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other insurance, like a convention type of a thing, where there's vendors everywhere. Okay.
Okay.
What you want to do, okay, and this is something that you don't even have to really talk to them. Okay. Because there's so many vendors, because these events usually are what, like maybe a whole day event. There's like 500,000 people or more, coming in, walking in, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way no one is gonna remember you, and you will not remember nobody. No way. No way. So what you do is you go to the vendor booth, say hello real quick, okay? And just chit chat, maybe like 1 minute. That's it. You don't need to spend any more time, okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
whatever they say, they're lying, okay?
I love it.
It's just what it is, okay?
Mm,
So, but what you want to do is you want to pick up their business card, okay? And you want to move away, okay? Move out of the way. If there's not so many people, then you can actually just go ahead and talk to them and take a selfie. That's the best way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you want their business card, okay? And here, I'm gonna walk away a little bit. There's the booth right there. I'm gonna hold the business card, okay? And I'm gonna take a picture, okay? I'm gonna take a picture of this business card and with you and your booth in the background. Now
Okay.
take a picture, or I'm even gonna do a selfie like this. I'm
yeah.
gonna do a selfie, okay, with the business card facing my phone, right? But on the background, I'm gonna have your booth, the name of your booth, and maybe you standing.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm probably gonna send that over to the cell phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over to the cell phone that's on the business card. Okay. And I'm probably gonna do that in the evening time when everything is over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. After dinner, like 9 o'clock. Okay.
Okay.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm gonna send it over. And this is what I usually do during a 2 day event or 3 day event. Okay. If I'm over there. If I'm there for a 1 day event, I don't wait for the evening time. Okay. I would just send it over closer to the closing time. If it's over at 5 o'clock, then I would do it at 4. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's 1 day,
'Cause I go to that small business expo every
right?
year. Yeah.
1 day event.
Mm.
Okay. Very important that you do like closer to the closing time because you're not leaving. You're staying over there until the closing hours. Okay. And you're gonna send that over and you're gonna say, hey, Tony, so I took a picture because you probably don't even remember me, but you talked about da 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 da. Okay. And I wanted to see if we can chit chat a little bit more about that after today's over. Okay. I'm gonna be hanging out, okay, outside where the cafe is, Okay.
Mhm.
So, like I'm pretty sure you're gonna be busy wrapping it up and everything, but what's your availability just to chit chat real quick, for about 10 minutes or so before we all leave.
Right.
Because, it's important for you to say before we all leave, because you gotta let them know that you're leaving too. They're leaving, but you're leaving as well.
Right.
Okay.
And now this is a 1 day.
Mhm.
If this is like a 2 days event type of a thing, right? Then
Mhm.
you know that they're gonna be
There
okay
the next
busy
day.
on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
The second day, they're gonna wrap it up. The same thing's gonna happen on the second day, right? They're gonna leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't leave right away. They will, wind down and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
after everything's over. So you want to catch them for about 10 minutes before they leave the convention center or the event center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Now you could probably do something like this a little bit more creative with, whoever that you're meeting. You're invited to, a political party, let's say. Okay. You can do the same thing. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing. Uh-huh. But
Mhm.
then see, they won't remember you.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't remember what you talked about. So that's why you're taking that photo. But
Right.
when you do a selfie together, wonderful. When you cannot do the selfie together, then step back. Okay. Go to the
Mm-hmm.
back. Do a selfie of your face with their business card, okay?
Mm-hmm.
About the background.
Mhm. Okay.
Make
Yes,
sense?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You'll
Okay.
have lots of fun.
I got.
It is fun going to those events.
Right.
One year I did wear like Elaine Reedus's glasses with the diamonds around it. So I would say I'm the one that had those star glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So this will
Uh,
increase the ratio of you getting an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because people want to talk to people that they remember being pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
uh,
trust me, they won't remember you. Okay. So how are they going to remember you being pleasant?
mhm.
No way. So that's why you're doing this selfies because they'll be like, well, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're using this a little bit of a trick, the tips, okay? In
Mhm.
order for you to give them give them a little refresh on you had a pleasant conversation.
Mhm.
They probably want you to remember that you had a pleasant conversation.
Right, right.
Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So, what's the next step that they're gonna do? They're probably gonna look at your handle meaning your account, your Instagram account. So
Yes,
that's why it's important for you to have, yeah, because nobody wants to meet a stranger who knows that Linda is not a serial killer or somebody,
it's
right?
true. It's true.
So this is why you want to have the Instagram with some leverage that you can show. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like what you just had, great leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that they can assume that, hey, yeah, having a coffee with Linda will definitely be interesting. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people's mindset works.
Right. Yeah. So I've set up a couple of collaborations now.
Good.
We're on the TSU campus, and I
Mhm.
actually got, students. Wasn't really sure what to do with them other than invite
Good.
their parents
Uh-huh.
to one of my sessions. So
Good.
that's kind of what I did with them. But they were very interested. I enjoyed
Good.
talking to
Good. Good.
them.
The more
So
people we meet, the more appointments that you will be able to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not just appointments, but more how do I say? You're expanding your network.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Okay? And like you said, everybody has to know what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay? So how are they supposed to know what you do? If you don't say anything, okay, when they're skimming through. right? The Facebook or the Instagram. So you talk about the client wins. Okay. My client, my customer, my client, da 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 was able to do this. It could be the living benefit story from Elaine's team, from anybody's team. What is this?
Okay.
Whatever that is.
That is your firefly saying
I don't
that.
know. AI was telling us something.
Oh,
It's telling us. I think it just told me I'm supposed to end this meeting. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Okay. So Linda, with that said, just one more thing.
mhm,
When you do exactly what I do, so all these appointments, remember my example with Seattle one? Okay.
mhm,
We all did the networking and then we hand it over to Christina Lee
Hmm.
so that we either meet together or she can take over.
Right.
Okay. Why did we do this? Okay. And this is something that I do all the time, right? Because I'm not gonna, well, I'm a little bit different from you, but I don't have time to do client appointment. Okay.
mhm,
I've done that for the past decades already, so I don't have time to do that anymore. Make sense?
Hmm.
mhm,
And I don't have the bandwidth to handle the client situation.
right.
So I hand over everything to my team. My team meaning you, my team meaning Tony, you. So if anybody comes through my Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, okay, or through the event, my speaking engagement, okay, when I set up an appointment, okay, it's not me that they see. It's not me they see. Weird, huh? Okay. Uh-huh. But look, okay. Remember the Gen Z guy that name's Jason. So Jason, right? When I first got on the call together with him, I was very, very surprised and I told him and I said, I'm actually talking to Jason. And he says, yeah, I like to do that. And I say, I'm very, very used to talking to one of the team member first, and they filter me out first
Hmm.
before I get to, speak to you. And I
Hmm.
don't mind working with the team, so you don't have to talk to me directly, is what I told him. And he's like, no, I want to talk to you. And I said, oh, okay.
I love it.
Right?
Hmm.
Right. But that's how it is supposed to be. We're a team. We're not a one person show.
Right.
Okay. So, you could be a personality, you could be the speaker, you could be the key speaker, you could be the guru, the mentor, the broker, right? Okay.
Mhm,
But you would always say, hey, reach out to me by here, but that doesn't mean that you have to be the one answering them.
Right.
You understand me?
right.
Okay? You just have to make sure that whoever that you use, right? In this case, for me, in my case, that was for Christina Lee, right?
Hmm.
Mhm,
So we had a Zoom, and we, as in Christina, myself, Ellie from Las Vegas, and Jazz from San Francisco, we had a meeting and said, "This is what you're gonna say, Christina. Okay, we're a team, right? We did it as a team. Nobody has to know who's the CEO, who's the EVC, FDC.
Hmm.
Who cares, right? Nobody cares. Okay. They only know that we were the keynote speakers there.
That's what I'm
Great,
talking about.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
okay.
So we keynote
Mhm,
speaker over there, but okay, our team is gonna take a great care of you. Okay. Because if you run into any problem, you know where to look.
mhm,
Make
Right.
sense?
Right.
Right. We're a team, we're not a one person show. And you don't have to explain that, right? So Christina, when she's talking to all these people that we connected to, right?
mhm,
She's introducing herself and she's saying, well, Miss Choi, right? Is from LA and she leverages me and the lady in pink back again, but at the same
mhm,
time, we're a team and what I do here in Seattle, what I do is this and this is something that we want to talk to you about. And I do understand that, you wanted to learn a little bit more about the living benefits, how it can work for you, right? Perhaps how it can work for other realtors around you, right? We would have like 3, 4 series of like potential hot button or pain points that we can address before we go on a call together with the prospect that we're prospecting. Make sense?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so with the folks that you
Mhm.
met, for example, the first event that you've been around, or the appointments that you're trying to set with the realtors,
Mhm.
right? You probably talked about understanding your matters.
Yes.
You probably talked about a little bit on living benefits.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing now this week.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So then, were you able to connect with, you were saying you connected with a few individuals who wanted to do what?
Well, the owner had asked all these questions, and we kind of got the average age of all of their people, and I had run an illustration just to see what the pricing was like, because she was interested in them getting it, but making sure it's affordable for them.
Mm, mm.
So I started with her. I said, "Well, I want to get you taken care of first,"
Good.
but then she told me she'll let me know when she's ready.
Right. That's an objection, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
you actually walked into that objection step by step. So what you don't ever want to do, okay? Okay. So I'm gonna give you a little step by step rebuttal.
please,
Okay.
please.
So let's say, okay. But you did wonderful. Nevertheless, you did wonderful. So when the owner, right? What's her name? Sorry.
Courtney.
Courtney. Okay. So she's the owner broker.
Yes, she owns the whole agency, both locations.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Okay. So I did talk about thanking her first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you want to go back and do that first. Number one, thank her for the opportunity, for the collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
And what method are you thinking them through? Uh,
text message.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then hoping that the text message will find her. Um, and then I mean, the old days, we used to send her a nice handwritten card.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that too if you want to. But text message is just fine. Okay.
Okay.
And then you would also send the events information, the next event information.
Okay.
Okay. And telling her what this is gonna benefit, how this is gonna benefit her and her realtors.
Okay.
Okay. So when I talk to, you can do this differently, but when I talk to the realtors,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we talk about how our concept can help their client, their real estate clients,
Mm-hmm.
right? Therefore, building a stronger presence, right? More unique proposition for the realtors, okay?
Mm-hmm.
um, by having us on the side. Okay. So we're like their additional services that they can actually provide, okay, for their clients, because every homeowner and every real estate investor, okay, what's the worst what is the most devastating thing that they can happen that can happen for them while they're investing, or while they're whatchamacallit, uh
Protection, putting the protection in
home
place.
ownership, right? Hmm. Yeah, because you know what, the one thing that can ruin everything, right, is if you get super sick,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no one anticipates to be in that situation.
Right.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would put this in a flyer, by the way. Okay. And I will send over the flyer, which, having this protection, okay, to protect your asset, your home, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that no one has to worry about paying for the mortgage. Should something happen for them, should
Okay.
something happen to them.
Okay.
So now this is a message that you're sending to Courtney.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason why you're thanking her for the collaboration, but at the same time, you're going to talk about the next event to come. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney, whether you or your realtors, you don't have to address you. Okay. Don't do that. Then you're putting her in a position where you want her to do something, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't just sell life insurance. That is not how we do business, right?
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that every family that we encounter are properly protected, and we do an annual service.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's why we work as a team, right? Because what if something happens to me? Then who's going to take care of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we educate our clients, okay, and our community
Mm-hmm.
so that they can navigate, what is proper protection for them. Okay. Now, the reason why I say all this is because I'm trying to backtrack,
Mm-hmm.
okay, her mind from, okay, I gotta pay. Oh, I gotta think about this now. You know what I mean? So I gotta backtrack her mindset back into that sounds really good. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because if you already go into how much is something like this gonna cost, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When that comes up, okay, what you have to do is it all depends. Okay? It could be as low as $100 to $150 a month,
Okay.
to a couple of $1,000s a month. Okay?
Okay. So
It
give them a
depends
range.
on the size of the asset that you need to cover.
Mm-hmm.
For example, so this is what I would say. For example, my client who only owns one small real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Her mortgage, she almost paid off everything. So her mortgage is only about 150,000.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. But okay, but she has to live, okay? Her monthly living expense is about $6,000, okay?
Okay.
At a minimum. At a minimum, okay? Not counting actually the mortgage, right? So 150,000, I would say a mortgage would be like what? 1,200, 1,300-ish.
Pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would say 1,200, so about 7,000. Okay. Just
Mm-hmm.
ballpark 7,000 what she needs, right? 7,000 times a whole year, okay,
84.
is 84,000, right? So $80,000 is what she needs if something ever happens to her, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
needs to recover from that situation. She has a whole year,
Mm-hmm.
okay, to recover. So at a minimum, I would do a protection So if something ever happens, and she doesn't die, right? Heart
Mm-hmm.
attack, cancer, stroke, or whatever it is, right?
Mm.
Okay. Because these days nobody dies. Nobody does. Okay. You'll come out not healthy, weak, but you will live.
Mm-hmm.
And you will need time to recover,
Yeah.
right? And you will need help. Maybe from your friend, maybe you're from your family, who knows? But then you cannot jeopardize their income for helping you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would say, at a minimum, at an 80,000 a year would be something that you would be looking for, number one. Okay. Number two, you probably want to pay for some help. Okay. Thanking the people, okay, who's taking care of you. Okay. So would you say maybe 100,000 or 150,000 a year? Okay. Would that be enough? Now, with that said, now let's work backwards on your number. So if it's a living benefit of 150,000 that I need a year, right? That a year meaning, one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
A lump sum. Okay. How much life insurance do I need, Linda?
Um, uh, that's the mortgage.
Let me work the numbers. Okay. Write 150,000. Okay. But you guys following me? I said 80,000 because her income was what, 7,000 a month? Okay, 6,000, 7,000, not income, I'm sorry, her expense.
Her monthly expense is 7,000, which makes $84,000 a year.
Right.
Right.
Okay. But then I said, that's not enough because, that's for you. But what about the people that are gonna help you, stuff like that. So you need a little room for that too, right?
Right.
So I said, would 100,000 or 150,000, okay,
That's
would
two
that
hundred and
work
thirty
for you?
thousand. That's 230,000 total.
No, 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 no. 150,000 is what
Oh,
you're going for.
okay.
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 150,000 is what you're going for. Okay. Okay. Um, because I'm trying to go from, when I'm determining the whole death benefit. Okay. Linda, how do you know, Tony, how do you know, right? If this person is gonna be in a critical situation where they're gonna pay a lot of money, or I mean, I feel like it's a critical condition, but then the insurance company will say you're not in a critical state, you're in a okay state.
Mhm.
Then they'll
Right.
pay you what? Like 30% of the death benefit, right?
It's true.
It's either 25% or 30% or 50% or 75%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who determines how critical are you? They do. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, rule of thumb, okay? Rule of thumb, I would always count my benefit, okay? I would always calculate my benefit as about 30%.
Seriously,
So
no
if
one's
it's
ever said that to me. Ever.
okay, so seriously, listen to me.
Wow.
Okay? I mean, who determines all of that? They will, but then, I've had situations where I didn't think it was a critical situation much for my client. He was healthy. He came out from the heart attack really healthy. So I'm like, okay. But then the insurance company thought that was very, very critical situation. So, okay,
Mhm.
he had more money. But
Mm-hmm.
I would always just count like about 30%. Um, of the whole death benefit. So if it's 150,000 that I'm working on, or like you said, $200,000, okay, that you're working off of, okay, that's gonna be a 30% of whatever the death benefit that I'm gonna give this guy or Courtney, this girl, Courtney. Okay.
Mhm.
So 150,000. So if I have $500,000 as a death benefit coverage, okay, should something happen, okay, can Courtney get about 150,000?
Yeah, 30 cents.
Are you
Yes.
following?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that's just a ballpark. I'm not, that's not even a accurate, like a calculation that I'm doing. Okay. In my head, if anybody needs 150,000, like a lump sum to survive, not survive, but to use that money. I mean, more the better. I get it. More the better, right? You want $1 million, then how much do you need? $2 million policy, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Half, right? You want a half a million? Okay. How much of a policy do you need? $1 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's like a 50% or less. You're
Mm-hmm.
calculating.
So basically, double what you think you're going to need.
Right.
Okay.
At a minimum.
Okay.
Okay. But in Courtney's case and everybody else's case, you start increasing the death benefit. It's just going to get more expensive, isn't it?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is why I said, you're calculating that, but at the same time, right? At least as a planner, at least right? That's how much it's going to be. Okay. So in Courtney's case, Courtney, look, okay. So you need about 150,000. Okay. You would need to get a life insurance that is a special kind of a life insurance that has what's called a living benefits to it. Um, and the insurance company that I'm suggesting for you, okay, has a very, very good ratio for the past, I would say about, a decade or so, okay? But especially for the past 3, 4 years, okay? They have a very good ratio of paying out, okay, $40 million of living benefits to our clients. And that is just our clients, $40 million just for our clients. I'm not talking about their entire payout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't know if you can qualify for their qualifications. Okay, but it's a pretty good deal. Okay, so we're gonna try that. Okay, how much will it be? It depends on what type of a benefit you are looking for. If you're looking into get about $150,000 lump sum, and I calculated that, right? For you specifically, personalized for your situation, thinking that you need about $6,000 as a living expense. I added, in my client's case, $1,200 monthly for that mortgage. In your
Mm-hmm.
situation, that's different. But about $7,000 a month for a whole year, that would be $84,000. And I added, okay, not just the living expense, but I added a little bit of an extra room to it. So I'm thinking $150,000 for you for a whole year. You will be relieved, okay, of your burden. Do you need more? Okay. So Linda, what I just did is I threw the ball in their court.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna tell me if they need more or less. Okay. Well, Lauren, what do other people do? Well, other people are pretty simple. They don't calculate it like that, but more money, the better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they would just go for, well, I think I need at least about $500,000, if something like that happened to me. Well, I think I need about at least about a couple of $100,000 for me if that happens for me. Now, remember, this is a life insurance. And the amount that we're talking about, a portion of the death benefit that you're going to access. So your death benefit has to be bigger than your living benefits. Do we
Mm-hmm.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, out of all this whole conversation, where did I talk about how much?
Not at all.
None. Okay? You want it bad enough, you'll come out with that money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then when I do come back with the illustration, I already know you, Linda, you already ran, right? You already ran the illustration, so you know how much things are gonna be already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're gonna give them a ballpark. You're never gonna give them a minimum, minimum, minimum. You're never gonna give them the lowest. Okay. So let's say the lowest of your illustration that you ran. How much was the lowest monthly premium
You know,
for
oh,
what you ran for Courtney? Uh-huh. About 200, about 250, about 300
I wasn't doing the mortgage protection for her.
mortgage protection as far as in a term.
Um, oh, it was low for the age of the majority, so it was
The
like,
average was 26-year-olds, and I believe she did it for $200 and $300
Mm-hmm,
approximately.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I did it. What did I do?
$200 maybe?
Oh,
I remember $200 when I looked at them.
That's the minimum.
Yes,
oh,
Okay. On how much? Like half a million?
it was 150,000.
150,000? Okay.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I wouldn't talk about the $200 for 150,000. It's not what I'm going to talk about. Okay.
mm,
I would talk about anywhere. See, this is how I talk about how much this is going to be. Okay. I would
mhm,
say for 150,000 living benefits with with a bigger protection around it,
mm,
right? Okay. We're probably gonna be looking at, okay, we're probably gonna be looking at around $300 to $350 a month.
mm.
Um, but that is if you are healthy and young,
Right.
right? Okay. Um, Usually, all of my clients will put in about 500 to 550. Okay. I would say, or $500 to $600 a month. And I'm talking about on the IUL.
How you are?
Okay. Then they
mhm.
don't even know if I'm talking about term IUL or anything like that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I would say, but usually my clients will put in anywhere from $500 to $600. Okay. Into these type of a plan, but I do have a plenty of people putting in 1,000 to 1,500 into these plans. Okay. Now, okay. Um, but again, of course, who has like, $500, $600 and 1,000 to $1,500 going into plan, in their right mind, these money, it's not gonna go away. You're not paying for something. You're actually creating your own bank,
Bank.
right? While you're doing this. But
Yes.
these are not a cheap plan. Okay. Just like, when you're investing in your real estate, okay, you can buy a rundown, but you will need to put money to remodel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. You want to be in a better location with a better structure and a newer structure, then you got to pay the money. These are the new type of a life insurance. It doesn't come cheap. Okay. But you will never know. Okay. And I pray to God, and I pray to God really that it'll never happen for you. Okay? I do. I pray to God that it will never happen. Right. But how old was Courtney, by the way?
She's around your age. Mhm.
30s?
She's older than the ages. So,
Like in 20s or 30s?
She was mid 30s.
Mid
uh,
30s.
mhm.
So it's increasing. I just Googled it, but it's still relatively low, but the the lifetime risk of mid-30s women of getting a cancer, it used to be at about 15%. Now it's at 30%.
Wow.
Okay. So it's increasing. Right. Um, you want to talk about stroke or heart attack? I know millennials, not millennials, Gen Z were higher than the millennials, by the way, on the heart attack. Mhm. Yeah, it's rising. And anywhere from 30 to 40%. But you can have all these statistics, by the way, just a couple of statistics,
Mm-hmm.
right? The women who are in 30, what are the likelihood, right? Compared to the COVID time, 3-4 years ago, and now, what are the likelihood of women in 30s to get heart attack? What are the likelihood of women in 30s to get um, breast cancer or something? Okay? You just need one or two statistics. You don't need a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because
Mm.
people might be thinking that it's not gonna happen for me. Well, it does. Okay?
Yes. Mm.
And it does. And again, it's heart disease, period. And there's more heart disease in women, um, more than ever, especially for the younger women,
Mm-hmm.
because of all this stress around us. Environmental stress, the everyday life is stress. What can I say? Okay. So yeah, you want to be able to get a couple of statistics like that to back up uh, why we need to have this, especially for realtors and real estate investors. Okay, because it only takes one critical illness for your dynasty to fall. I would talk about cancer more because too many people are getting cancers these days.
That right there is amazing.
Yep, we never stop
So,
growing.
right. So everything that I talked about today, you just want to put it into like a couple of bullet points. And then when someone is having this conversation with you, you ought to be able to pull that out and talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So, even though you weren't talking about price, when you're talking to someone about potentially getting $500,000 or $1 million
Right.
in coverage, they might actually need that. But at what point do you talk about potentially getting multiple life insurance policies to, some of that to cover the permanent coverage that they
After I
need?
get them one, they
Got it.
got to sign one. Okay.
Got it.
Don't go for the whole thing. Get them signed. Okay. The whole thing is about sign here.
Got
Okay.
it. Got it. Yes, ma'am. After you get them one. So.
After you get them one.
That
Okay.
is that is the simplest answer you can get. Yes, ma'am.
You got to
Okay.
upsell later.
Upsell. That's the word. Upsell.
Got to upsell later.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That was awesome.
What I want you
Not
to
worthy.
get rid of, what I want you to get rid of from your mind is that IUL is a wonderful product. IUL can be a Swiss knife, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But okay, um, and it doesn't change the fact that it is a Swiss knife. You can have a protection, you can have a living benefit, you can have a tax-free income, you can use that as your own private bank. You can, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But if you're gonna be using all four simultaneously, Okay. Who said you can use that all four benefits simultaneously the way that you want to? Who said that? Nobody does. We don't present it like that.
No.
Your IUL has all the benefits, right? But how much do you want to use it, use the tax-free benefits? How much do you want to use, like let's say, as your private bank? Are you going to use that money to invest in real estate? Are you going to use that money to buy a car? Are you going to use that money to, pay for your child's college fund? Whatever it will be. Nobody plans for everything like that.
Right.
So it does have a function. It does. It's a wonderful plan that can function, okay, to provide all of that. But, okay, just like anything in life, you got to grow it if you're going to be doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what about living benefit do you want to use out of this? And how much of that living benefit can you use so that if you were to use that living the tax-free access part, right? The cash part, the income part, how much of a living benefit can you actually use without altering how much that you were going to use for the rest of the other benefits? See, these are not something that you should be talking to your clients about. Okay? You will never sell a soul, okay, if you talk about all of this.
Right.
But in order for you to understand, right? In order for you to understand us, we got to know it for ourselves.
Right.
Right? So, Linda, I have multiple insurances. So should you. So should you, Tony.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
Okay. Because my IUL, okay, I designed so that I can use that as my own private bank. So I don't want nothing to alter, okay, the function of tax-free, okay, retirement or tax-free, access to my cash value. Okay. So I have my IUL just for my use of private bank. Okay. I have another IUL. Okay. That's not for max funding. I'm not putting much money into that. Okay. But I have that as an option for me for protection only. So with that, not the term. What did I get? That? Not the term. Okay. I got that IUL. I'm putting minimum money into that. Okay. And I'm not use cash value from that IUL. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So as long as I'm putting in my minimum monthly pay, okay, it's not going to lapse. It might, about 15 years down the road, it might tell me, okay, insurance company might tell me to put in a little more money in there because you have enough cash value receiving interest. Then I will, right? Okay. But why do I have that? Because it's a better deal, okay, than any other whole life, any other universal life, okay, for my living benefits purposes.
Got it. Yes, ma'am.
Make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Along the way, I needed more living benefits. So I got a term. Okay. Now, for my parents, I don't have a term. I have IULs. But I pay minimum in it. Okay.
And the
I know.
beneficiary. Yeah.
Linda, so if I put minimum in it, minimum payment in it, what's the no lapse guarantee? 15 years, right?
Right.
Okay. So 15 years, no lapse guarantee. As long as I put in the money that I'm supposed to be putting in, I am protected for the 15 years, right?
Right.
What happens if my parents live longer than that?
They have an IUL. So they'll be okay.
Right. So what's going to happen is the insurance company might raise the premium.
Oh, yeah.
but it's an IUL. So I can put in whatever the required minimum pay is, even if they raise it, okay, I can still pay. Expected. Make sense? But if it's a term, okay, do I have an option to pay anymore? No. When the term is over, term is over.
That's right.
Make sense?
Yes.
Right. So, this is why I said don't talk about the whole thing from the beginning. You want to talk about one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we know as a planner, we know that this family will need this, and then this, and then this. And then if their situation changes, they'll need more.
Right.
Okay? So, and then there are people who have their, like financial situations changed, right? And then they cannot afford it anymore. One downfall of whole life, IUL, anything permanent, okay, permanent policies, one downfall would be they need to understand this is a long-term, product. They at a minimum, no lapse guarantee. So at a minimum, 15-year long product,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can do a max funding in 3 years or in 5 years or in 7 years. Okay. But it's still a long-term policy. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
you should not to change anything in the first 3 years. Okay? You put that out there, at the last, okay? As you're getting their signature, you gotta tell them this is a long-term policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta think of this right now because you should not making any changes, at least for the first 3 years. You have to grow it, you have to nurture it, you have to grow it. And our team is gonna be right there to grow it together with you. Every year, we're gonna be visiting, right? Your policy, progress, and status. And we're gonna make sure that it is going the way that it's supposed to be going. Sense?
Yes.
Product goes into temporary, but I guess 30 years, 30 years.
Now, what if it doesn't give you the rate of return as it should, as it was illustrated? What happens?
Yeah, you can change the index options.
Linda, you told me this is gonna give me what, 7% or whatever it is. Okay? It didn't give me 7%. What's gonna happen?
Um, yeah, you just need to pay more.
What happens when you have a stock, okay, and it doesn't give you the return that it was supposed to?
Uh, um,
Suck it up, man. Suck it up.
Mm.
right? Oh,
It hurts. I know it hurts, okay? I can talk about my Tesla stock all day long, okay?
Oh. Oh.
It's a
Wow.
it's a speculation, isn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
But at least, okay, you're not gonna lose the gain that you got the year before.
Right.
And all of your earnings are protected, so it's not gonna drop to a minus.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Okay. Now let's look at some allocation changes and see if we can, shoot for next year a better return.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
I ran a couple and gold, one with just gold, did have more money than
Right.
for breakdown. One for.
Well, good for you. My S&P didn't return a crap.
Oh, really? Well,
Hey, again, we're no wizards, right?
Right.
right.
Right. So Linda, everything that I talked about today, Tony, listen, everything that I talked about today, I'm trying to enlighten how you can think.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mhm. Having a bullet point sheet with that.
Right. So, you can carry a conversation is what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then no one's gonna doubt your intention. Okay. So you have to, your intention is good. No one's gonna doubt your intention. So you have to be able to talk about your
Mm-hmm.
intention to serve, your intention to collaborate, your intention, okay, to
Mhm.
work this out. Okay. But does your intention come with a guarantee?
Not really.
Yeah, no one's intention comes with a guarantee. Okay. So your attitude always has to be, my intention is to do this together with you. My intention is to collaborate together with you. My intention is to serve the community as best,
Right.
right?
I just had a client that's older, 60, yeah, she's my age, 67, and she noticed that she had put in more on her premium than what she was billing back. And so she didn't want it. So, so I kind of felt like I had to give it.
How did that happen? How did that happen?
I think she was telling me that she wanted her money to grow, but
Mm-hmm.
she's already older.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I was, we just talked about that product. And so I gave her what she was wanting. Because I looked at it and it's like, why did I do, yeah, why did I do this for her? And I said, well, let me go back and look. But I ended up offering her America's 25,000 whole life, but we haven't been able to come back together to even look at it and talk about it.
Okay. That works, but at the same time, let's say I don't know what the premium and the number is, but let's say you put in a total of $100,000 in. Okay. And let's say you have I don't know, $130,000 in total with a little bit of an interest, right?
Okay.
Okay. What you want to take a look at is how much of that 130,000 are you able to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not withdrawing, but borrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's 57, you said?
67.
67?
Mhm.
Okay. So she doesn't have a much of a time, but again, she started really late
Right.
anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 10 years down the road,
Mm-hmm.
10 years down the road, okay? 130,000 is the value that it grew out to be. I don't know, right? But out of that, if you were to borrow, okay, borrow, $1,000 a month would be 12,000. So 12,000, okay, 12,000. Or you know what? What's the social security that she's receiving?
Just getting on it, and they had given her two different amounts. So she had to check on that for the first time. But it was
Approximate.
22,
Okay.
2,200.
Okay. How long did she have to contribute to so that she would receive that security of $2,200? 60 years.
Oh, right.
At least 30 years, no? At least
Mm-hmm.
30 years, right? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, at least 30 years, right? But see, you're only putting in, right? You're only putting in for 10 years. You're trying to use, let's say, half of what you're receiving that you put in 30 years for.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, right?
Okay.
You work 30 or 40 years, right? In order for you to use 2,200 a month, right? Okay. Now we're trying to put in something, and then after about 10 years, not 40 years, about 10 years, we're trying to use something, that'll give you at least about $1,000 every month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would that work? So it's still a good deal if you can work it out like that.
Okay.
It's not the real beauty of the it's still not enough money, but I'm just saying. Um
She didn't for
uh,
that long.
yeah.
But I just can't mess with my money.
Yeah, but it depends on if she thinks she's gonna die, okay, within the next 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
or will she live after those 10 years, longer than that she expected. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the premium that she's putting in there right now, can she live okay without that premium? Then she should put it in there so that it will still grow and then give her that extra $1,000, okay, on top of her Social Security. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I would do in order for me to break people thinking that this IUL is going to work a miracle for them when they're not putting that much money in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right? Come on, Linda. They work 30 or 40 years in order for them to, receive $2,200 every month, right? Okay. We're trying to grow that money in 10 years. But you know what? Another thing that I'm showing through this is that your money don't have to grow that much. Your money don't have to grow that much. If you have, let's say you put in $100,000 in total, let's say your money grew 130,000 or 150,000, you can still, okay, after 10 years or after 15 years, whatever it is, right? You can still use extra $1,000 a month, can you?
Right.
It's still a good deal. You're not withdrawing your money, you're borrowing your money, okay? And it's still a good deal for you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
If that works. I don't know if that works. I'm not looking at an illustration.
it's showing first 10 years, you paid 32,400. And over here it says 14,943. She didn't like that at all. But I mean, I guess you're recouping some of your premium.
Right, right, right. So again, then again, this is how my logic would work, is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, creating another social security, okay, but within the 10 years. Okay. Because it took 40 years for you to create $2,200 a month. But you don't have 40 years to put.
Right. Right.
Now, do you think, you know, um, you would be better off using that, how much? That 32, how much per month going in?
30,400.
Yeah. So to then tell her, do you think that you can just use this money is better for you rather than, putting it aside for the next 10 years and, do it this way? Because you can still use this amount of money until you die or something like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to get a free for feed my nieces and nephews a lot of money.
Right. So why would you want to do that? You want to be able to, like have that money and not be worried about it and still keep your dignity, right? Because the longer that you live, the less mobile you will be.
It's true.
So I don't, when I talk to older folks, I talk about it like that. And I say, who cares? Seriously, who cares about leaving more money to my niece and nephew? Yeah. You know what's gonna happen? And I've seen this many, 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 many times. And I'm around a lot of old people, right? Older, like in 80s, right? Like 78 to like 85-ish, right? You know what they all talk about? Holding on to your money until you die.
Hmm.
You know why? Do you guys really know why?
Mhm.
Because when you have money, your family won't look down on you.
Hmm. that is very interesting.
Nobody talks about that because that's
That's real.
that's
That's real
nobody.
talk. That's real talk.
Right.
It's true.
And even with my mom and the Alzheimer's and having to pay all of that, he
Right.
has he has a lot of money. But he was having a meltdown because the balance was getting lower.
Mm,
It's because that's what the money is for. To spend.
mm,
Right. So expensive. It's so expensive. So, like if you have an Alzheimer's or, anything in your family history, then you gotta have the living benefits.
mm,
Okay. You gotta have the living benefits. Okay. You're not wasting that money. Okay. You're preparing for probably what's gonna happen.
mm, mm,
So it's the way that you talk, the way that you present. Okay. See, all of you have to remember that you're not an insurance salesman. Okay? You're more of a advocate.
mm.
You have to have your voice. Okay.
Oh, we do have a carrier that handles an 85-year-old.
Mm, I thought I thought we did that. Ask Linda. I don't know. Ask Linda. Ask Lynn. Sorry.
I was looking for one.
Before we did, not sure. I'm not really updated on all the products. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, and when you do find out, let me know too. It'll be good to know.
We found out that 85.
Right. Okay. When you have product questions, who do you guys ask?
I just call it carrier.
I call carriers too. Yeah, I call carriers too. I mean, because like all the case studies and trainings that we do, these are concept trainings, right? But the product, the interest rate changes, the product changes, not every time, but it'll change. It'll be updated. So you probably want to check with the carrier first. And then what you want to also do is have a like an underwriter that you are close to, okay? And be on their good side.
Mm-hmm.
And ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Well, like asking for help, I give them like the background of our clients first. Okay. Let's say, for example, I have a Samoan. Okay. I have a Samoan client who's pretty healthy. Okay. He's never had like any complications or any previous history or anything like that. But he's a big guy. He's a big guy, and Samoans are built big.
They
Okay.
are.
So yeah, they are. And they're prone, they're 30% more prone to heart attacks. You know that? Okay. It's because their diet. It's because of their diet. But it doesn't mean that every individual is like that.
Right.
Make sense? So when you submit to a carrier, okay, let's not forget our carriers. Well, majority of the insurance carriers, okay, are white from like Idaho or Iowa. Okay.
Iowa.
All right. So what does that mean?
They're predicating all their actuarial data on white people.
On the data. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So they don't know specifics on African Americans
Mm-hmm.
or the Asians or Asians, not just Asians, but the Koreans are prone to hepatitis B. Okay. It's because of the build that we have. Right. It's hereditary. Okay. But we don't have any problem, right? But on the standard of the white, I don't know, traditional insurance companies, they have their own set of standards, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we go about that? You can go about that by providing a background story. So what I did on my Samoan, okay, client, because he got declined, not declined, horrible table. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I said, no, because there's background histories that you need to understand about, my Samoan client. My Samoan client, okay, has no history of blah 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 blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, he does have a heavier bone, density,
Mm-hmm.
um, as most Samoans do, right? But his diets are pretty, well balanced. And I talked about what his diet, like is consisting of on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I said, I mean, looking at this, he's healthier than most of the rest of the white Americans, is what I said,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he's built a big guy, and based on his build, he's not overweight. Based
Mm-hmm.
on his build, not his blood level is not any higher. It's not, he doesn't have a high blood pressure. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
your I mean, couldn't you take a look at what that build is for what your standard is for that standard versus this guy is a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
and whole family was a big guy, right? And there's not a single a complication in the family history of having a
Oh.
heart attack, blood pressure, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I built the story back again and sent it. He's got a standard rating now.
Nice.
Make sense? Okay.
Nice. Yes.
So, you know, um, whatever the product that you're doing, you want to have this type of a relationship with the underwriter. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the relationship that I'm talking about. Okay. And then you would be able to talk to the underwriter about, if the underwriting is firm on their decision, right? You would want to talk about, well, what do you suggest my client to do, for the next 6 months or a whole year or maybe a couple of years, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that he would be considered as a standard rate. Okay. Would you consider a higher rating, a better rating if we lower the face amount?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
less amount at risk, a better rating. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
So you would be able to negotiate if you put a good cover letter. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. And this would be a very, very good skill for you in order for you to communicate with your clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, people who complain, forgot everything that you talked about in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You would have plenty of that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you would want to put things in email talking about, not talking about specific product, but talking about why we did it certain things a certain way.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And you
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
have to draft letter all the time. Let ChatGPT do it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so how we're going to convert our relationship that we just built into an appointment. Number one example was that, your broker, owner broker, Courtney, you're going to send her a thank you message and you're going to tell her, these are the stuff that you're going to be sending out to her,
Mm-hmm.
for the event. Okay. And then from there on, okay, you're going to reshift her mindset, okay, back into, right, this was really good. Now right now, her mind is, oh, I'm going to think about that. Okay, because her mind is tainted with how much that was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to have to shift her mind back into what type of a benefit this was for everybody. Okay. Okay. And for every other clients that you're about to set up appointments for, okay, you're always going to have to talk about finding out, what's important for them.
Right.
And you focus on, their pain points. Okay. And every time you hit an objection, you talk about their pain points. Well, Lauren, I mean, I really want to do that, but then you know what? Honestly, I think that $350 I just don't have. That's an objection, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would you say, Linda, to that? Go back to the pain point. What was my pain point? What would happen if I don't take this? Right? That's the pain point.
Right.
How to draw that picture. What if, you put another, year away from this? You're already in your 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not being protected. Right? Right. Right. If I give you another year for you to recoup, your income a little bit more, okay? Would that happen? Would you be able to increase your income? And next year, would you be able to, give yourself a proper protection?
Mm-hmm.
If yourself another year for you to, increase your income, would that happen? Okay. See, these are the stuff that you need to talk to them about, not in a tone that I just used, okay, but in a concerned
Yes,
tone.
yes, yes, yes.
Like, what would you do? What would you find? Right. Okay. See, the mentality that we have to fight is they think paying for life insurance is an expense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not, right? Mhm. Right, right. Okay. So once you are able to set that appointment, okay, now I was telling Tony, now I think both of you will need a couple of closers, let's say, to show you how to close. Okay. And what you're learning from the situation is how to talk, how to close. Okay. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Was there, are you able to set up a couple of appointments that will be somewhat closing? That you think it'll be, or I guess what I'm asking is, were you able to, do a little bit of a PFC? Mm. That's what time I talk to them, not a lot. Hmm. Tony, mute for a second. I think it's you. Okay. Yeah, it's you. Okay, go ahead, Linda.
Not a lot when I would call them. I was mainly calling them to remind them of the upcoming sessions that I wanted them to sit in on. Uh, I can't remember, you know, asking them really leading questions to know for the PFC.
Okay, so then would you say now we have to move them into the second event and then actually talk about, why it's important for us to do a one-on-one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Now from the first event, you could have done that. Okay. Or right now you're moving them into the second event, right? But you could have you could have talked about. Well, actually, no. The first event, I don't think you could have talked about because I don't know what the first event actually or what the content was. Uh-huh.
We had some questions. Where is that?
Mhm.
I think it'll be in an email. I think. That's we had kind of made it interactive before we didn't know they were going to make them come.
So if the seminar, if the first event, let's say consists of um, living benefits or how to build your own bank or something like that, okay, or how to um, how to use real estate and life insurance together or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Um, we would usually do two things. Either, okay, we would pick one though. We would pick one. Two ways, but we would pick one. Okay. Uh, Either move them to the next event, like how you're doing, okay,
Mhm.
or we would have them with the big QR code. Okay, we would have them, okay, register for like a 20-minute like a private or semi-private. You can come together with your friend, okay, or family, doesn't matter, okay.
Mhm.
But see what this can look, for you and for your family, okay. Um, so then we would talk about, what that process is gonna look like. And I would talk about with the QR code in front of me, I would talk about, so how this process is gonna look like is this, right? It doesn't matter how good the product is or the plan is, right? How good the plan is, if you cannot afford it, right? And who doesn't want this benefit? Everybody does. But we have to see if um your financial situation can actually accompany plans like this. Okay. And how do we do that? We look at what your total income is, on a ballpark. We would look at, what your obligations are, monthly obligations are. We will look at, how much of a liability or asset that you need to be protecting, right? Every family is a different situation. So we would look at that together and then we will come out with the most optimum plan that we think is for you and for your family, right? So these are a little bit of I would say, like a semi-private information that you probably not don't want to share with everyone else. So we would want to do a private or semi-private, conversation together with you and somebody who means a lot to you.
Mhm.
A lot to you, meaning, somebody that you would trust with your money.
Mhm.
And that's how we would talk about having a PFC. We don't talk about, what a PFC is and why do we want that and stuff like that. We would just keep it simple like this because we want people to go ahead and scan and register or scan and set up that appointment.
Mhm.
Make
Okay.
Mhm. And then I wouldn't send anything that they need to prepare or like that, okay? Um, Unless they go ahead and register first.
Yeah. So we hadn't been doing that registration part.
That's okay. We can do that from now on, right? We can do that from now on, right? You can always do that by calling them.
Mhm.
After, even if you didn't do it, you can call them up and you can talk to them about, I think this is our next step that you would want to see. Okay. It's not a commitment stage. Okay. It's still, trying to see if this is, doable for me, right?
Mhm.
If it's not doable for me right now, then, we need to work on it, work on our finances, for a whole year or so, right? Um, and we need to set ourselves a goal so that we can actually get this, when we meet our financial goal,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
See, I don't have the $300. I don't know where I can get that money. Well, let's see if we can find that money from somewhere for you. Okay. I mean, let's see if we can manage some debt situation that you have, right? We don't know. I mean, again, looking at all this benefit, who doesn't want this? Everybody does. But
Mhm.
sometimes, it's the money that's an issue. Sometimes it's the health that is an issue, right?
Mhm.
Let's see if this is something that we can plan to improve.
Okay, we have a client coming up mid-April that's doing that. Because he was finding some money, finding
Mhm.
a job, and he wants to come back mid-April. But I don't think he's found a job, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna say. That was the part, we were kind of helping him with, and Tony had given him some good suggestions uh, for a company that he had some
It's
background.
a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Okay. But they have to do it. If they don't do it, I can't help them.
Right,
Right? So
right,
I wouldn't wait for them to come back to me, after 6 months or after a year. I wouldn't do that. I would just put them into my prospecting basket, right? And I would check on them. Hey, okay. It's time for that 10-minute or to 15-minute, okay? Progress check, okay? Hey, I'm not your father. Hey, I'm not your brother, but dude, we care for you. So, you should be caring for yourself more than I care for you, no?
so yeah, so I can follow up with him to see how the job hunt. Do you have extra income now? And if
Right.
there's no, that's the call is over.
Right, right. So it's like, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, what can you do, right? Okay. I have moms having a garage sale, renting their garage space out. Okay. Um, um, like whatchamacallit. I have moms who do like a side Uber type of a thing, right? Okay. They sell their unused or not gonna use any more stuff, on push. I forgot what it was. I think it's just like a Facebook marketplace or something like that. Okay. But
Yeah,
whatever it is, there's a will, there's a way,
right.
right?
Yeah, we got quite a few suggestions, so I'm
Right.
disappointed that he didn't, get something in place. But
Right. But it's like, we can only do so much, right? So, but you set up a day, okay, every month, okay, to check on these type of people. Okay. Hey, okay, it's been 30 days. Were you able to do whatever?
mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then you just write it down somewhere and then you just copy paste that. Okay. Just check on with people. It's a form of
Mhm.
accountability. Okay? But you don't want to spend too much time on them. You're just checking in once a month with them, to see if anything is happening. The worst case scenario is actually the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, let's say they don't make it ever, like to where they need to be.
Mhm.
They will give you a referral. Make sense? Okay. The amount of care, the amount of, like how much we want them to succeed. Okay. At least, okay, they will give you a referral, but you got to ask for it. Okay. Because otherwise they won't even think about it.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
once you get your appointment set to here, right, to do a PFC, that's when you need closers to come in because the closers will need two appointments, right? Initial appointment to get the PFC together, right?
Mhm.
Because not everybody's going to be ready with their PFC information and they come in. And even if they bring in their PFC information, the closers will still have to go over the information together anyway.
Okay.
Okay. So the more information you can gather, wonderful. But we still have to, the first appointment together with the closer would be, okay, going over reviewing the PFC. The second appointment is to close,
Okay.
right? So the whole process is if you're meeting them at an event, from event, maybe to another event, to the PFC, and then review the PFC and then close. That's 5 steps, right?
Mhm.
And if you cut that second event out, first event to the PFC, okay? Review the PFC, close.
Okay. So the application part is not a step that, because I would be doing that part.
Yeah, the application would be the closing part. You can actually do it, put that into the closing part as well. Okay.
So I have a sleeping agent that gave us his 100 list.
Mhm.
It does not have any contact information on there.
Oh, okay. Well,
Without,
uh, do you know that 100 list is for him to start doing FORM? Okay, so you have to teach your agent, okay, with the list that you're working on actually is the 25 list.
Mhm.
So let me repeat that. The list that you're working together with your agent is a 25 list with phone numbers. Okay. The 100 list is for your agent, okay, to form without you.
But he hadn't done it.
Well, that's gonna take a while, right? But his 25 list has to be made together with you, like now. Okay, out of
Mhm.
that, okay. So, let's say this agent decided that he was gonna do a 15 presentation together with you, okay, for the next 30 days, let's say.
Mhm.
Okay? He's committed. Okay, I'm gonna do it, right? That 15 presentation, it has to be structured from the 25 list.
Okay.
Now, while you are working on a 15 presentation together with your agent, okay, what is he doing on his rest of the time?
He has another network marketing group he's a part of that I used to be a part of.
Great, okay. He's supposed to be prospecting, and all those networking people, whatever, is supposed to be on his 100 list. So he's supposed to be forming on the 100 list by himself so that you can move 25 of them into the next set of 25.
Mhm.
So that's the second set of 25 lists. Now you need the first 25 list that you're going to be working. Make sense? He needs a trainer to do appointments together on his first 25 list. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, now, who do you want to do appointments, for? Meaning, your agents, people that are on that list. Okay. Linda, you have a choice. You're the trainer. Okay. You you select the ones, okay, out of the 100 list when you're making a 25 list. Okay. This is awesome if you think about it. Okay. You don't have to do appointments as he brings people to you. Okay. Because number one, Linda, you don't even know who these people are. So why would you want yourself out there for people that you don't know, right? So you're going over 25 names, who they are, okay, what their interests might be, together with him, and then you select out, okay, you select out 25 names out of the 100, okay, the ones that you feel that you can, have 100%, somewhat close to 100%, success ratio. Okay. For example, I I love talking to people who want to help other people. Okay. I don't like, I have a very, very, very short temper, okay, with women, okay, who rely on men. I So I wouldn't pick that from nobody's 100 list to do an appointment for me. I have a, I would say some nasty stuff. Okay. So that I know. So I wouldn't do it. Okay. I wouldn't do it. Okay. And
But
I tell I train you that. And I train you that. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure this woman is a very, 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 good person. It's not her. It's me. I would talk this way. Okay. And I said, so why don't we go ahead and put that person on the list, a lower list, right? Because you're gonna work with me in the beginning. Okay. So we will have a different person to meet her. Okay. That is more patient. Okay. For a person of that profile. Okay. I'm not deminimizing any profile. What I'm saying is there are people that I don't particularly get along with. Make sense? So this listing is a wonderful thing, Linda. If you think about it, you get to pick the people that you know that you're gonna get along with, or that you know that you're gonna have a success with.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I would do that. Okay. There's no phone number or whatever. You can ask him, what is his name? Our agent's name?
Louis Barnes.
Huh? Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Louis? Okay. Yeah. So then, yeah. So then you would ask him, and I said, hey, so you're gonna set all these appointments, but let's talk about who we want to meet first. Okay. Can I talk about who I want to meet? And then you tell me what your thoughts are. And then you want to talk about, is there um a woman who is more of a matriarch, right? In their family and in their community, right? Who's just loving and giving and have a lot of patience. Okay.
Okay.
Is there anyone like that in this list? Okay. And then if he says yes, then you would say, okay, how do you know this person? Okay, like that, right? Um, Family member who are closer to you, who is just very, very supportive of whatever that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there from that networking group, right? Network marketing group. From
Mm-hmm.
the network marketing group, okay? Who are the folks, who has a couple of real estate? Not anybody and everybody. We don't want anybody and everybody. Okay. Out of the networking group network marketing group that you have that you are working with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the ones that are somewhat closer to you, right? That you have a good relationship, who has at least couple of real estates.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason why I ask that is I'm looking for investors. I'm looking for not just an entrepreneur mindset people. I'm looking for people who actually invest with the money that they earn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Linda, you see how I'm shifting, who I'm looking for? Okay. I don't want, like just any type of a life insurance agent who has an experience. I don't have a need for that. Okay. I have a need for life insurance agent out there that I'm going to be recruiting. Let's say I have a need for an agent, okay, who is actually improving their own finances. Okay. Who
Mm-hmm.
is actually out there improving other people's finances, right? I want to work with people like that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'm looking for a network marketing guru, okay, who's already somewhat, um, I'm not looking for people who are successful. I'm looking for people who are building their own financial future really good. So
Okay.
that's why I said people who have at least a couple of real estate or one or two.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
Right. People who invest their earnings back into their own finances so that they can improve their finances. Right. If he has no one like that in his network marketing group, no one's making money in there. That's how you know.
Mhm. Okay.
Everybody's doing a rat race.
Mhm. All right. I,
Okay. You know what that tells you?
yeah.
They need to jump the ship.
Mhm. You can tell him because he has to pay monthly too, and I
Yeah.
don't think you can profit.
Well, because rather than you telling him or telling any network marketing person, that's not going to work, that's not going to work. Okay. You tell them, okay, I'm looking for people who actually are seeing, or improving their finances, you know, um, with the earning, I don't know, but that tells me that they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for people like that, right? Okay.
Okay.
That's what I tell all my agents who are trying to recruit, people from network marketing groups.
Mhm.
Okay. And I said, I'm looking for people like that. Well, I know this person who's a go-getter, entrepreneur, he can recruit this person, just like that. And I said, but that's not what I'm looking for. What am I going to do with that person? Okay. Let's say he recruits 10 people. I'm gonna get I'm probably gonna give them like what? I'm gonna sell them living benefits, probably. Okay. But if they have nowhere to sell, what am I gonna do with that person?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay.
In your time.
Right. Okay. I'll take questions. Mhm.
Uh, I think I've asked the majority of mine. Uh,
Are you okay? Are you getting some clarity?
I am,
You
yes.
can ask me more and you can ask me more often too. Okay. And Tony, you too. I mean, you guys can access me. I give you my time for the next 90 days. So you can do what you can ask me whatever you want to ask. Okay. 'Cause I know
Okay.
this time today, it's only how do I say? It's only a beginning. It's only for you to understand and just feel that, hey, there's help out there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Tracking it. I'm just not good at tracking all the stats.
It's
Uh,
okay.
but Tony
Do
did.
your just do your screenshot.
Yeah, I gotta track them too. Um,
We'll help you. Okay, we'll help you. But make a mess first. Okay, before you're tracking it, make a whole lot of mess first. Okay, and then we'll gather all the bits and pieces.
all right, well, that sounds good.
Well, you're definitely answering all of my questions as you were sharing the information with Linda because I had a couple of particular things I wanted to show you. I know the conversation that you had with me not long ago about making sure I'm not gullible or making sure I'm not giving too much. But I wanted to share this with you because I'm really excited about some of the stuff that I'm doing right now, some of the organizations that I've been having the opportunity to present at or in. And because of that, I have access to staff meetings, I have access to various organizational meetings with other professionals. And, I don't know if you see the list that I have up right now, but there are particular events that I'm doing right now weekly where I'm actually being allowed to speak and work directly with the people in the groups. And there's one particular group that I just started working with, a pastor out in Los Angeles wanted someone to be added to his financial literacy group. And with that, he says, whatever business you get with that is your business. So right now, we've only had 2 weeks under our belt. Matter of fact, let me highlight it. It's called God, Money, and Me. I don't know if you can see this. See this? Uh, there you go. So, we've only had 2 meetings. The first meeting was like 11 people. The second meeting was 21. We're actually projected to have like 40 plus people coming this coming Thursday. What's great about that is, I went from being someone who's just in the audience to being an integral part of the presentations because they like some of my newer thinking. And of course, a lot of my newer thinking comes from the conversations that you and I have. So in inviting and asking for this time, it's like, okay, these people right off the bat see me as a financial professional, as an informational resource, blah blah blah. They know exactly what I do for a living. I never made that ambiguous, no uncertain terms. I am a life professional, right? So now it's like, okay, what do we do with them? So the majority of the people in the group, their average age, this is why I was so attentive about the 60-year-old and 67 and whatnot, because the average age of everyone in the audience is, between 55 and 80, right? So, you got a much older crowd. So the infinite banking concept is actually the presentation I wanted to do while I was there, but also I wanted to do a living benefits presentation, which is why some of the information that you shared today, I wanted to add that in that conversation as well. So once we do the presentation, the appointments are actually automatic. People come to me directly and they want to set appointments with that. But setting an appointment, this is where I get
QR
into a
code,
jam. Setting
QR code,
the, I'm sorry,
QR code, QR code,
QR
QR
code.
code.
I'm doing, well, I do add QR codes, but my QR codes give them access to my contact information. So what I got to change is I'm gonna change the QR code from my contact information to the next meeting. So that I definitely will be making that change today. As a matter of fact, Linda, the flyers that I did for you, those will
And
be updated.
selfie, and selfie.
Well, I record everything. The only thing I did not record because because Linda's event was Linda's event. But anything that I do that I'm allowed to, because I do presentations for veterans, I'm not allowed to record there because some of these veterans, sensitive situation. But the presentations I do at the college, recorded. The presentations I do everywhere else is going to be recorded. So, and I want to be able to share that with you because I need you to tell me, okay, what do I do with this? Right? Because
Right.
there's a lot of in the span of the past 4 or 5 weeks, Miss Choi, my relationships with these people has literally
Awesome.
grown exponentially. And now they
Awesome.
actually see me as a viable option to help them with whatever their financial situation is. So it's like, okay, this is why I need your help because if I'm the spokesperson, Miss Choi, who's going to handle the logistics? Right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to gather all these people, but I need to give them people, give them to people so we can take care of this because I'm still going to be trying to gather all the people. This is why, I was talking to Linda. Linda, I need you to bone up on some of this stuff because I'm gonna start dumping people on you, right?
That's
And
awesome.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
I have no choice, right? But it was like I need, no matter how what people might think about me, I know when I need help. That's why I lean
Right.
on you so much because, like, look, I am really good at building relationships. I'm really good at bringing people, but it's like a dog chasing his tail. What do I do with them all? Right? I got all these people, right? But what do I do with them? So
So
help.
what I did with Lakeisha and Angela,
Mm,
okay? So Helena SFD is on the back, right?
okay.
But it's not just Helena, but I have like three people lined up. Just like I said, is that gonna be Lynn, Helena, Chris, or whoever it is? But then
Mm,
these are just the how do I say? These are not just, but these are closers. They're there to close for us. Okay.
okay.
They're not there to do all the follow-ups. Make
Got it.
sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So what I did with Lakeisha and Angela, RSA, right? Um, we did the God, Money and Me. I love that. We did women of finance in women of faith in finance. Okay,
Okay.
so
Hmm.
we have that, right. We did that, and when we did an event, we had a QR code that we would have them to register to 5-day classes. Okay. And
Oh.
right. Okay. Now I'm gonna shorten that though. 5 day was too much for us. It was too
Mm,
much for us. So we're gonna shorten that into 4 days. Okay. But we're still gonna have classes. And I can build a class for you as well. Okay. It's not
yes.
a rocket science. Okay. So the class will be consisted of the event speaker was myself, uh, Lakeisha and Angela, and a guest speaker. Sometimes it was an FNG, if their schedule was permitted into like if we ever scheduled our event
Right.
uh in conjunction with like a United BPM or something, when they're here already,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
when the event is like not so far away,
Hmm.
um we were able to do the event together with them. That was wonderful for us. But we don't need FNG to do stuff for us.
Right.
But I need another guest speaker just to talk about maybe the living benefits or, like their own experience or the product, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we did that during the event. An event is only 45 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
We don't do a long event. It's only a 45-minute with three, maximum four speakers, talking about it.
Hmm.
Um, actually three speakers and one person is a host, right?
Got it.
And with that said, um, the QR code will register them into the next 5 weeks or the five classes, which now it's going to be 4 classes. It's going to register, and then they come in to those classes.
Okay.
The class, instructors, first day, PFC. First day is a PFC.
I love it.
Helena. Helena is only responsible for PFC because we were going to hand off the appointments to Helena. Okay. Um, the second day, managing your debt, that was me. Okay. And third day, continuing from managing the debt, organizing. Okay. Organizing different uh, bank accounts or how do you organize your money so that you would set aside some money to save, some money to tithe, some money to long-term savings or investments, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the last day we talked about the real life examples, like testimonies or women coming in talking about their own money situation, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then leading right into setting up that PFC back again. So the PFC training classes on the first day
Mm-hmm.
and set up that PFC right here together with us. Okay. So the QR codes, the same QR code to set up that PFC goes out 3 times. First time, okay. Well, actually 2 times. The first QR code was to link them into the classes. The next QR code to set up a PFC appointment is on the
Mm-hmm.
first day, right? The second time that we talk about the PFC and set up that one-on-one time is on the last day.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's how we got our PFC appointments lined up. Everyone who's coming into the event, their information is all in the Google Doc, okay, or the
Mm-hmm.
job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, everyone who registered for the classes, their stuff, their information is already on the Google Doc or the job form as well.
Right.
Okay. So we have a list of everybody who came in and who's actually going to be doing the PFC. Okay.
Okay.
Who didn't register for the PFC, we would reach out to them and offer them, okay, the 20-minute session.
Understood. And
And
we got
who's
it.
doing all of that?
Uh,
Lakeisha and Angela is setting those up. Who's
mhm.
doing the PFC? Lakeisha or Helena.
Okay.
That's how we set it up. So in your case, that'll be Linda.
Right. So we had a conversation before, and this was the result of our conversation, the 4-part series that you helped me fashion for my presentation. So this is an illustration of what we were talking about based on our conversation. Know your money story, handle your debt, grow your wealth, protect your
Right,
family's future. So that's basically the structure you just explained to me just now,
right,
which is great. It's just that I've been doing all of it. So what I need is someone that can help me, or at least jump in there somewhere to break that up for me. And so I definitely need to add another speaker, maybe two. I need to add a QR code to be able to, get to capture people's information. And it's still
right.
4 days,
So,
which is
so then,
great.
right, and then you can split into 4 days or you can do it in one day. It doesn't matter, right?
Right, right.
Um, it depends on like how long of a session you want to do it in 20 minutes, 30
Hmm.
minutes, that's fine.
Hmm.
And I did ask you, other than Linda, who's the next person other than Linda, because you would need a couple, right?
I would.
Um, actually do this together with you.
Mm, on a consistent basis, that's where I run into kind of some trouble. Yeah, we got people
Well,
that
like
will be.
how talk about
Say again, please.
how consistent?
Not as consistent as we would want. Probably, maybe if it's once a week potentially, but even that would not be as regular as we hope. But someone what's the frequency you're thinking about? Every day, every week, every month?
I mean, what we did was we did our WFF event. It was done. It was done only once a month
Okay.
with uh, 5 classes followed up. okay, on the second month. So 3 events every month, okay? But
Hmm.
we did events, gather everybody to come to the class together, okay? So we
Okay.
only had one class.
Okay. I think that
One,
I'd be
like
able to.
1 week of 5 classes, but we did 3 events to gather them in. Now we thought that was last year, so we thought that was like too far of a gap. So
Mm.
I think what we're gonna do this time is we're gonna do 2 events, okay? 2 events every 3 weeks, and then we're gonna so let's say if we do the event this week, 3 weeks after we're gonna do another event. And then we're gonna follow up with 4-day classes the week following week.
The following
Make
week
sense?
after
So
after
that
each of the
is
events. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
That's what we're gonna do.
I love it.
Okay?
If that's the interval, I know Linda's got a plethora of people that can step up and do that.
Right.
I'm still
Right.
working on building up other members of other teams that I have. Uh,
Right.
I don't really have the confidence that they can deliver like Linda does, so I'd have to
I don't
work
think so.
on.
So that's why I said let's use Linda then. Linda would be, as long as the dates are set and the times are set and Linda knows exactly what she's gonna present.
Hmm.
Okay, that's good. The PFC part can be done. Okay. The first one, if we're gonna be doing this together with uh 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 Linda, have you worked with I mean, this is why I said I don't mind using Lynn because she's just gonna be handling the PFC part of it. Or if it's not Lynn, then how about Lakeisha?
I like
You
Lakeisha. She's got good energy.
or Helena, I don't mind, or Jill, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Okay, so who do you guys want to work with is what I keep asking.
I like of the options. Jill Johnson is. I mean, she's like my favorite person other than you, and I love Jill Johnson.
I
She
could
gets
ask Jill to
she
come in
gets
and
she gets
yeah,
2 thumbs up
right,
twice on Sundays from me.
right. Uh-huh.
That she would help me as well.
Okay. So then PFC can be done by Jill, and then we just get that done, and then you guys go ahead and do the illustration and all of that in the back.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. That's good. Okay. Right. So organizing, I will help you. Do not worry. Just don't lose the information. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Selfie. Okay. Screenshot.
I promise you, I won't lose their information.
I will help you organize, but I need something to organize.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So first of all, put those dates down first. Okay. What days we're gonna doing the events, what days we're gonna be doing the 4-day class or the 3-day class, whichever, however you want to do it, or you want to finish it in one day, and then get them to come into to do the class together.
Mhm.
Wonderful. If it's not the class, then we can probably skip all that class process and just set up those PFCs. We can do that too.
I love it. I absolutely love that. I
Okay.
do.
But
Yes,
again,
ma'am.
I'm telling you this because it depends on the group that you're working with. Some groups are more prone to, let's just move quickly. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
The church groups, the women's church groups that we went into, um, their major concern was for us to, they were afraid that we would come in and sell something.
Hmm. That's always an
That's
issue.
why, yeah, so that's why we brought in the courses.
Hmm. I like the idea of the courses because referencing the God Money and Me, and I'll actually send you a video so you can see how it's structured. But it's kind of low key, right? And I actually went into it because I thought I was doing a service for the church, for the community. I wasn't trying to do anything, wasn't trying to get anything from it. And the pastor was like, Tony, if someone needs your assistants, help them. If it's for your business, we understand this is your business. Help them, but I don't want to just go in there overtly trying to sell life insurance, right? You know
Right.
what I do, you know what I'm about, you know what I offer. So as I'm sharing this information, if it's something that resonates with you and you think you could use my services, then we can schedule an appointment. That's the relationship that I'm trying to build,
Good,
right?
good.
So,
And that
so
needs to be said every meeting, by the way.
say again, please.
That needs to be said at the church to the crowd, okay, to the audience every time that you present.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. And then do you guys give tithing at all? Tied to do you give back to the church at all?
Oh, I spend a ton of money at the church. Well, I give a ton
Like,
of money to the church. I actually give through Givelify. So Givelify is a wonderful tool. That way I get the report for my taxes every year and all that. It helps me track my spending. So if my pastor says I'm missing some payments, I can see where it was and I can make. So yeah, it's great.
okay, good. Because the churches that we're going into, we're actually giving a tithe, um, as we go in.
Oh, you're
It's
talking
not
about an offering.
required,
You're talking about an
right?
offering. Yeah. So tithes and
Right.
offering.
It's
Yeah.
not required,
Yeah.
okay? But we do it just anyway.
Yeah, it's always good to sow a seed in every church that you visit.
Right.
They definitely appreciate that. Anytime I have a presentation in any church, I make sure I throw a decent amount, especially uh, because you're paying for the time, you're paying for the lights, any food that they might be offering or anything like that. So I want to make sure that there's no cost associated on their behalf for allowing me to present. Yes, ma'am.
Right, right, right. So we have to bring all that in.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Uh-huh. And then what you want to do is you also want to invite other, pastors or other first ladies
Every chance I
into what
get.
you're doing, so that they can see what you do, and we will bring the same program into their church.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
'Cause that's how we got into it from the beginning, and now we're doing it in many other churches.
I love it. I'm trying to do exactly that, ma'am. Exactly that.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
then I will be waiting for some of the dates of the events from you, Tony, so that I can mobilize Jill Johnson into the tour. Okay.
Okay.
Let's look into the next 90 days as far as our events and dates. Okay.
Okay. So you want the frequency to be what?
When is your first money, God and me? Is that me and money and God? Sorry.
Well, it's actually not my presentation. I'm actually an adjunct to theirs, right? So I present. I was supposed to be presenting tomorrow, but my presentation got pushed until next Thursday. It's every Thursday at 6 p.m. So I'll be doing my presentation next Thursday, next week.
Okay. So as you're doing that, then you will have a QR code on your session, right?
Yes,
On
ma'am.
your session, you will have a QR code. And when they scan the QR code, then they will be registering to the classes.
Yes, that's what I understand. I will do that.
Okay, so then I need you to look at the classes. Like, let's say if you're going in every Thursday, then we're not gonna have a class every week. We're gonna bring the crowd into like a whole week, right?
Okay.
So let's say what day is today?
Today is the ninth, Wednesday. That's a
Okay,
good question
so
too, because I don't know what day it is half the time anyway.
right. So next Thursday is 17 and the Thursday after is 24th,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay. So you want to have classes after the second week of your presentation. Okay.
After the
You
second
said
week.
you're going Thursday, right?
Yeah, so they're going to give it to me in two portions. So half of my presentation is going to be on the 17th, the other half is going to be on the 24th. That's when I get to complete it.
Right. Okay.
This is
So on the week of
May 1st.
yeah, the week of the first,
Yeah.
you need to select the date where you need to decide if you're gonna be doing the 3 day courses. Is 3 day okay? What days are good for everybody? Because churchgoers, um, Wednesday is a pretty bad. It
Yeah.
was that Wednesday or
Wednesdays are always Bible study. So Wednesday
Yeah,
is really hard.
yeah. Uh-huh. So if you want to do it on a Thursday and a Friday for 2 days, that's
Hmm.
fine. Um, I think we said we were gonna skip Wednesday actually. So 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is what we're gonna do. You can
Hmm.
do 2 days, or you can do 3 days, skipping Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. You can do 24, 25, 26, like that. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3.
Hmm.
That's a Saturday. 3 is a Saturday.
Yes.
I'm not sure if a Saturday is a good pick.
Saturdays are not good because if it's a church organization, they usually do community outreach on Saturdays.
Right. Uh-huh.
So that wouldn't be a good day for that. And the church meetings are on Tuesdays often. So it will be Monday, Thursday, and Friday, which will be what's probably
You
most
can do
most
that.
available.
Yeah, you
So,
can do that.
but Fridays are difficult because of traffic. So it might end up just being a 2 day course or maybe a Monday and a Thursday.
You can.
Okay. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out
Pick
and
the
I'll get it
time
to
as well. Okay.
you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. But pick the time as well. Again, knowing that Monday you will have the PFC, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But pick a time, date and the time. Okay. And let us know so that we can plan it ahead.
I'll have an answer for you by Friday morning. Give me a
Awesome.
chance to go to the church on tomorrow night, talk to the pastor, and see if I can set that up, and I'll have something for you Friday morning.
All right.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah, because we gotta work with Jill Johnson's schedule too.
I believe me, I understand it. Matter of fact, if she can tell me what's most convenient for her a couple of times, that'll give me a good idea because I don't want to go through all this, and she'll be like, "No, I can't." They're like, "No."
Oh, no, it's okay. If Jill cannot do it, then my second pick again, Lakeisha or Helena, right?
Okay. Yep.
My fourth pick would be Lynn. Okay. Or I can put her as a fifth pick. I can have Max, or I can have Priscilla as my fourth pick. Whatever.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
But the PFC needs to be done by a person who can get, people to do stuff. You know what I
That
mean?
I understand.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And then Linda, you're probably gonna duplicate word by word, okay, of what these guys are either Jill Johnson, Helena, whoever it is. You're probably gonna have the recording of all of this, but you're probably gonna have to duplicate word by word so that you can learn, when you are actually captivating the audience, when you are actually pushing them to do certain things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And those are a little bit technique, stuff that you need to learn. It's not super important, but it'll help you. Okay.
I love it.
All right.
That that right there is probably the best thing for me because I am again, you even said this in the presentation. My job is to bring the people. I will bring as many people as you can process. That
Right.
that is a promise and a guarantee, right?
Right.
But because I am very confident that I can bring the people, but I never have a clue what I'm going to do with them, Miss Choi. So this is a huge help. I really appreciate it.
Right. And then we will organize the teammates that you have as well.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because like I said, it goes back to what I said about the network marketing group or other insurance agents that we're recruiting. Anybody that we're recruiting from day one, when I'm looking at them as a recruit, I'm looking at number one, if they're hungry. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, okay, do they have the market that I can get into?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because if I'm gonna be the trainer, right? Or if you're gonna be the trainer, meaning, if Linda's gonna be a trainer, if Tony's gonna be a trainer, if I'm gonna be the trainer, I need a market where you guys can get into.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And family and friends market is really not a market for me. Okay. And I think I said this before too. I'm not saying that I don't need that market. What I'm saying is it's a given. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to have that market for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for them. But it's not the business expansion is what I'm saying.
Understand. Yes.
So just understand that's where I come in. Okay?
Yes,
And the
ma'am.
people, go ahead.
I said yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? If you can think of something else, then let me know.
I always do. Thank
I,
Miss
I
Choi. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You have no idea. I think it was what they call it, waiting to exhale. It's and I don't mind telling you. We've had such strife over the past several years. And it's been almost difficult to breathe because you always feel like you have that pressure always on you. And, it's a breath of fresh air to be able to have someone that is as giving as you are. And not only are you giving, but you actually give us clear instruction, actionable guidance that we can actually do to be able to get the results that we want. I'm really proud of Linda because a lot of what Linda has been accomplishing in her turnaround actually comes from some of the conversations that you and I have. And being able to share a lot of the information, and there's technique involved with everything. Yes, it is. But to be able to have an understanding of, and you said this earlier, expanding our thinking is the big deal, right? But you still have to have the courage to get out there and do it. So I really appreciate that Linda has that courage, and now that she has a lot of the pressure lifted off of her, she's able to actually sprout, and I commented on because I pretty much I log everything. I'm a nerd. I can't help myself. So I told her, I said, the number of people that you've spoken to in this first quarter of 2025 exceeds the number of people that you spoke to in all of 2024. And the
That's
difference,
fun.
I mean, that is a fact. That's a bona fide fact. And the difference between the people that she spoke to in 2024 versus the people that she's speaking to now is how she's building those relationships. They are actually starting to want to communicate more with her. They're reaching out to her. They want to do more things with her as opposed to her constantly chasing all of them, right? So again, with all that activity, we still got to learn how to corral all those people. So this conversation is it has been paramount to our effort, and I really appreciate you dedicating so much time to us. We want to show you our appreciation, not by saying we appreciate you, but by actually doing what you tell us to do and then being able to close the business that you will have expected of us. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And let's not even talk about running for FDs and stuff like that right now. Okay. I want to set this foundation for you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And we will make more license holders with the market that we want them to open,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so that Linda, you don't have to babysit for people. Okay. And we don't have a false expectation of the people who doesn't want to run. Okay? They're good people. Everybody who comes into your team are gonna be good people, I guarantee you. Okay.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that everybody's gonna run.
That's right.
Okay. We have the next 30 days. Okay. Probably not even the 30 days. We're gonna move a little bit quicker. Okay.
Mhm.
So probably by end of April is you're gonna do as much prospecting as possible.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Now, on the people that you and Linda met in Houston, um, if you have some sort of like a list or whatever, or if you can make list, okay, go ahead and make it, okay, and go from there.
They gave it to us.
Okay. Go from there, okay? And
Yes.
then when you look at the list, which one you made a little bit more connection with, which one you don't have a connection with. We go
Mm.
like that. We
I
start
love it.
from there.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, you guys. We do want to have the next meeting set up so that I don't have to try to set it up next time. How is your next week around this time, around 11? It's not gonna
11.
take this long, we had to catch up a whole lot, so we took a lot of time, but next Thursday around 10, would that be all right with
Is
you?
today Wednesday or
Oh,
today's
sorry,
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Next
Yeah.
next Wednesday at 10,
Next
10.
Wednesday at 10, done.
Is
Are
that
you okay with 12 p.m. Central
Linda?
Time, Linda?
yeah.
Or do you need the lunchtime to prospect? You okay?
Good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then next Wednesday, 10 a.m. the same Zoom number.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we'll track back on, we'll check back on, what progress you might have.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am. You'll be getting a report from me for the time, the scheduling on Friday morning,
awesome.
and any other updates that I have for you as well.
Okie dokie. Okay.
All right.
And the people that you have met there, if anything that you can actually do to, to get them to either the next event or either to do a private or semi-private meetings,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be consider that as a PFC, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And let us know.
Yes, ma'am.
And then if you need to, let's not do another cacao room, but can you do a group text? Because I can see the text faster than a cacao room.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Just me, you,
And
and Linda, correct?
yeah, yeah. So that Linda, you can ask whatever it is. Okay.
I'll do
Okay.
that as
And
well.
you guys, I'll be speaking to Lynn about our meeting. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. You're the best.
Yay.
All
All
right.
right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.